What's up, nerds? Welcome back to another episode of the Aggressively Average Angler podcast / the Tackle Talk podcast. We've got our special guest here, Andrew Hayes, hanging out with us tonight. Andrew, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
We are stoked. You know, all right, so I have to ask you this because we were talking a little bit before the show. I didn't get to this, but in Ohio, generally, you don't have to say specifically where, but around where are you at in Ohio? Like, tell them everybody your address.
117 White Forest Drive.
I'm in Dayton. Yeah.
Dayton. Okay.
Oh,
So
no.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. We're not that far.
The armpit of Ohio.
The armpit.
It's terrible.
Good school.
There's
So
a few armpits in Ohio.
Jeff and I played rugby at Michigan State, and
Yeah.
we lost to Dayton in the CRC, the College Rugby Cup, in dramatic, unfortunate fashion. Actually, no, in dramatic, unfortunate fashion. In like the last
was at home?
5 seconds.
Was that State?
And it was at
State.
I was the president of the club, so I hosted that whole tournament, and that would have been to put us in the finals.
I had a good try defense on that. I rolled the guy.
I don't believe
and
it.
had the ball on me. It was like,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Held up. Show him to him. That's
good. It was a well fought game, but we're not that far away, which is wild. So we should probably.
How far are you from Dayton? You think, like driving?
I'll tell you in 30 seconds.
Paul will Google Maps it while we do a couple of shout outs. So, we're talking with Andrew tonight. We're going to go podcast X podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do a little bit, fun talk. And then obviously I want to get into some hot topics. I know you like to do hot topics, hot takes on your podcast. And we like to do that too. So we're going to get into them, kind of get your thoughts on them, our thoughts on them, and chat's thoughts on them as well. Real quick, before we dive into it, you're going to this event, so I wanted to call this out. Kayak Adventure Series. This is called Brood Stock. And Chaz, it's in the show notes. I'm just going to copy this and put it into chat. So if you folks want to go check this out, it should be a really cool event. Again, put on by Drew Gregory, as well as a whole ton of really cool sponsors. Andrew, you're doing a seminar at this event, correct?
Yeah, so we're going to talk some fall baits while we're there.
Heck yeah, dude. So that's going to be awesome. Link is going up in chat right now. And this is in Bowling Green, Kentucky. It's kind of like Central America area. Like it's
if it was Bowling Green, Ohio, we would be there.
If it was Ohio, we'd be there.
That's where I went to college. Bowling Green, Ohio.
We came down to play you guys in rugby as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Very familiar.
That rugby pitch was so wild because it was just plains. It was just all fields.
There were two. You guys had 2 fields though, and you guys got a ton of cast-offs from the Ohio State football program. You guys had scholarships for I think 6 or 8 players at the time.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
It was insane. It was insane.
Yeah. Nuts. So Bowling Green, Kentucky. This is called Broodstock. If you go to the Kayak Adventure Series website, go check it out. Consider it. If it's relatively close to you, this will be on the weekend of, I think, the 4th and the 5th are the 2 tournament days. So coming up in just a couple weeks, still time to register. Go check it out. Tons and tons of prizes. You can do the micro bag. You can go for the big bag. You can have a team. There's a team event as well, so you can team up with a buddy and go have some fun. Definitely worth it. We did the one in Whitehall, Michigan. It was a blast. If we could have done more next year, more likely we'll be able to go to at least a few of them. So we're looking forward to that. Also, real quick, on October 8th, which is a Tuesday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, we are going to do a members only live, and we're going to give away a Wilderness Systems Eye Attack. It's an inflatable kayak. You guys have seen it on the channel. If you haven't, go check out the videos to see if it's something you want. And if you do, click join below and you can find out what memberships are all about. But only our members get to go to these, and only they have the opportunity to win this giveaway. So just wanted to call that out up front. All right, so we're going to get into it. We like to start off with a fun Q of the D. Let's get warmed up, you guys. So Q of the D for today, Paul, is what? Because you always write these. So I like
Okay. So kayak fisherman, someone who's very experienced inside of a tiny boat. Knowing what you know today about the kayaks that are available, this can be in addition to what you currently have or not. Whatever makes it easier for you to imagine. If you could build one kayak out, what platform would it be, and what would be like the key things that you like, the key accessories that you would put on it, like motor, electronics, all that kind of stuff? Like, what would be like the base, and then what would you like absolutely have to have in it?
So I'm going to go with like the type of water that I fish. So this is going to be different, because if I was like a big lake guy and a big water guy, this would be a different answer.
If you were on
It'd
the
be
Great
kind of-
Lakes, if you were
Yeah.
on like
it'd
Champagne,
be a little different. We're in skinny, fast moving water a lot.
Yeah.
Like it's name of the game is hydrodynamics and making sure that you can hold a spot. It's maneuverable. It's fast, like all of those things. So I think right now the platform that I've finally settled on is the Hobie Outback. And the Hobie Outback is for what I do. It's what
Right.
I've wanted in a fishing platform. I've went through, gosh, probably 4 or 5 kayaks over my
which ones, if you don't
kayak
mind me
fishing.
asking?
Yeah. So I started out with an Ascend A10. They don't even make them anymore, I don't think. Like,
Oh yeah.
I remember
sit
the A10.
inside, blue,
Yep.
nothing. It's just a seat and a sit inside
A
kayak.
little tub. You could push it on down.
Yep.
$300 or whatever, and I got it. And I appreciate that kayak because it got me off the shore. Like it taught me that I wanted to pursue kayak fishing, so it served its purpose. And then I went to an Ascend 10T, which is like the sit on top version of it. Again,
Better.
we're on a budget here. We're balling on a budget, and all we have around us is a Bass Pro. So you're like, all right.
Yeah.
So I went the 10T for probably 2 years. And that was when I started learning about how to mod a kayak, and everything was PVC on that kayak. I mean, I went ham wild at the Lowe's and Home Depot.
How much glue?
Oh, so much glue. Like the almost like what is it? Like the plumber's glue that's like purple that you put on the inside. Yeah. Everything.
You didn't even go Billy Mays or whatever, where you're just like, I'm gonna flex seal this whole thing.
Nope. I went
heavy.
So I did that, and then I went to a feel free lure. So a lure 10. So you're starting to get, again, I saw that I
What
like
year was that though?
Oh gosh, this was probably 20, I don't know, 16 maybe, somewhere around
So
there.
you're still ahead of like that wave of like kayaks that came out.
Oh yeah, this was still
much, like you were.
Yeah, this was still fairly early on, at least from my understanding in kayak stuff. And then so I went from the lure 10, and then I went to an Old Town PDL, like a 106 PDL. So I went there, and that was my first dip into the toe of some sort of propulsion except paddling. And so I was like, all right, I want to get some speed. I want to get more control.
Upgrade.
Yeah. And then I went from there to the Hobie Outback. So the Hobie Outback for how I fish is my favorite by far so far. And I've used my buddies like PAs and stuff. They're just too slow, too heavy. I'm a small dude. I'm like 5'9", 135 pounds. Like I don't need to be lugging around a PA 14. So I would
need to, but
you could for a good workout. I mean,
if I was in, like you said, Lake Erie or something, I'd have a PA, I'm sure. But that, and then you asked like to build it out. So I would say I've really liked my Newport NK 180. I put an NK 180 on the back, and that's just a game changer because coming from a guy that was just pedal, now I can do everything hands free because I rigged it up for foot steering. So you can sit in current. The way that we fish is like you sit facing up the current, and you basically use your motor as a spot lock. You put it at the same speed as the current, keep yourself straight pointing up in the current, and then you steer with your feet, and you're good. And you're just staying there the whole time. So
what foot steering are you using though?
I actually made my own.
Out of?
So I used are they C-Lock, I think is what they call them, like the C-Lock pedals.
Yep.
And then I ran tubing that I got at the hardware store through it, drilled it all out. I didn't use paracord. It's harder than paracord.
It's what they use for the underwater guns for the harpoon.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. I can't remember what it's called, but
I
it's
have like
almost,
700
it's not braided.
Yeah,
it's not braided metal, but it kind of feels like that a little bit. So I ran those all in and did that whole deal.
Spectra cord.
Yeah, Spectra braid. That's what, or Spectra cord. Yeah. And then I tried to figure out where I wanted to put my pedals because the only thing that I've ever seen anybody do is what Jeff Little does, where he puts the pedals with like the 90-degree mounts and he mounts them to a track mount on the top. But my problem was I wanted, in case I ever had the situation where I wanted to pedal and motor at the same time, I wanted to be able to clear those pedals. And you can't do that if you use the 90-degree mounts. So I actually took H-rail mounts that go on the Hobie H-rail and I dropped them down. So they point straight down, and then I put 2 of them together, and that's where I put my foot steering.
That's what we made we engineered a captain's bridge before they were captain's bridges. We took we bought the extra you can buy a replacement H-rail,
28-inch.
So we bought the 28 H-rail, cut both sides because it's rounded very slightly. And then made it round upwards, and then put it we mounted or electronics on that on our PA-14s.
It's a solid electronic setup. It just uses the accessory, the drillable accessory plate, and you use 2 of them. And then you just mount with a spacer. You have to add the spacer, otherwise you can't open the hatch.
That was cool. Yeah.
Yep.
We had to figure out all the spacing and stuff, but it worked out.
That's my favorite part about kayak rigging is figuring out, knowing what you want and finding a creative way to get there. Like that's, if I could do everything all day, I think a cool job would just be people bring blank kayaks to me and say, here's what I want to do. And then I get to sit there and figure out how to do it. That's my favorite part.
I would tell you though, we just got into the new canoes, and I would tell you that it's that exact thing, but it's perfect. Like when you put it all together, it's like,
what new canoe do you have?
This is
the Unlimited
U10 and the Unlimited.
Okay,
and
I have a buddy that has a Flint.
Oh yeah,
the Flint's pretty sweet. That was the first new canoe I found out about. One of our buddies' guides up in Michigan here, and he got into a Flint, and it's $1,000. He was like, "This is like all you need." And we thought about it, and then we just waited. And then the Unlimited came out, and we were like, "What am I gonna do with that?" Because it's
awesome.
It's a blank canvas, right?
Yep.
And then we finally started seeing them rigged out by
their quick connect system.
Yeah,
sick.
It's insane.
See,
oh my god,
things like that are the things that bug me about my Hobie. Like the things about the Hobie are there are certain things that should come stock on that kayak, especially at the price that don't, and it just irks me to know it. Why do I have to pay $70 for some dude to 3D print me seat risers? Why is that seat
makes
so
no sense?
Like that? There's little stuff that's just same thing, but like every kayak I've had is like that. Like when you have the Old Town, why does it not come with a floating prop nut? Why do I have to get on, Navarre Kayak Solutions?
Navarre to save the day.
It's a no-brainer.
And it's
so mad.
So I can tell you. So well, without getting too far into it, I can tell you one of the reasons why. When they buy the parts for those kayaks, they buy them in bulk, and they need to sell them. They can't just like give them away. It's part of their cost of ownership, so they have to sell all of them. That's why you can still buy Topwaters. There's no reason for a Topwater to be on sale. They have them. They got to get rid of them. So they're out there, right? Same thing with their rudder. Why did they even bother with that rudder? Like
or why doesn't it have the other thing I bought from Navarre, the thing that tightens it so that it doesn't just go all over the place? Why is it just
and why don't I have spacers in between? Like there's a bunch of stuff.
There's so many things.
But what you'll see when they do they could do a platform once every 10 years, probably.
Yeah.
Roughly. So when the next platform comes out, all that stuff will be in there. And then the rod holder will still be on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side for no reason at all. And so there's always going to be like a couple of things, but there's a reason why some of that stuff's still out there. Like there's a reason they had to use the Predator platform, because they can mod that platform, but they still have the blank for that when they go to mold it. They have the base for it. They read to the top. So it all comes down, but that's also how you get a $2,700, really solid, really well thought out, really super high end and thick hold Old Town, when you can't get a PDL that's that quality, a pedal kayak, anywhere else for that amount of money. You just can't. And so that's one of the ways that they do it, but you sacrifice by having the crappiest, no offense, Old Town, I love you guys, but they have the crappiest front hatch in the game, because they came out with it before all the good ones came out. And now they're like, well, I can't re-engineer it. So I was like, yeah.
Is what it is, because it's $1 million for me to make a new hatch for the mold.
Right. So you guys are stuck with this hatch for a while.
Sorry, not sorry. Figure it out, guys.
You're gonna buy it anyway.
Get what you get, and you don't throw a fit.
You know you're gonna buy it anyways. That's solid.
100% though.
I love it. So Hobie Outback, you're putting your NK on there. You're rigging out your pedals, however you can make that work. Anything else that you're throwing on that?
So I've went through a couple different electronic systems, and right now my favorite is the Garmin 93 SV. So I've still got the 93 SV on it. I've went through Humminbird Helix. I've went through all kinds of stuff. I've heard some murmurs that Humminbird might have some cool stuff coming out here pretty soon, but until that point, I think I'm still the Garmin 93 SV guy. And I will say, I've never had to really use anybody's service for anything before. I had some issues with my Garmin stuff about a month ago, and it was the most painless, awesome customer service that I've ever experienced. Like I called them, I was out on the river one day, and my side imaging just bit the bullet. Stopped. Completely stopped. I didn't hit anything, didn't do anything. Just one side went completely black, and the other side ran so hot that all you saw was whatever color your color palette was. And so I called them like the next day. Real dude picked up like after 3 rings and was like, what's going on? I said, well, it's half on, half off, and the half on doesn't even work. And he's like, explain it to me. So I explained it to him in like 10 seconds. He goes, yep, that checks out. That happens all the time. We'll send you a new one. Like, that's all it was.
Happens
so they just sent me a new transducer and was like, here you go.
Oh,
that's
wow.
rad, man.
So
I love finding out where
the
customer
exact
service
opposite.
is done well. Like there are a lot of companies that don't do customer service well, and like sometimes they'll send us something and then we're like, how do we, like, I can't tell you guys that the customer service is good. If they sent me it, of course they want it to look like it's good.
Right.
So, but you know, we had this recently with Bixby where we called in the regular customer service line and they took care of us, no problem. Super
Human's
easy.
Great. Everybody over there is great.
Yeah. So it's cool when you get to have that experience from like customer standpoint, and we get to share with you guys unbiased view of it. It's for real, you know. But good to hear. Love it.
Yeah.
Paul,
so then I'm trying to think if there's anything else like that I really need.
What about an anchor?
Yeah,
so
do you do anchor?
Before I had a motor, an anchor is a necessity for sure.
Yeah.
Once you have the motor, because we're fishing current most of the time, then it kind of becomes obsolete. But yeah, like an anchor wizard with an anchor off the front of it was something you just had to have if you didn't have a motor.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so we'll wrap up this Q of the D. I want to jump into the show meet here too. Paul, what's your rig that you're throwing together? Should have thought about this while he was talking.
If I could do one
today.
Ascend
10T.
I'm ready. If I could do one today, yeah, in blue. I would do.
Hear me out.
I would do a. I would do
blank canvas.
I would do the old PA, not the 360. I would do the 180. It would have the 300 on it, and it would be a trailered monster kayak, and it would be like a Great Lakes. I would have at least one forward-facing unit for sure. And it would be the Garmin. It would be the 10 SV that I've got now, or the 12. And then I don't think I would need much more than that. On the Hobie, if you have a crate and you have some other propulsion other than pedals available, I don't know that you need really almost anything else in that kayak.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, everything else on mine's pretty. You need like some sort of cart system and go to town.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that big a rig, definitely trailer. Trailer's something we haven't used yet. But yeah, I'd be close with that. I feel comfortable with the Titan X. Like, I'm close to having that dream setup with the Titan X. I already have the XI3. I already got the 93 SV from Garmin on there. I'm going to have an NK300 in about 5 days. So like, once we have that pretty much would be that. And the only way I would consider changing it depends on how the NK300 operates on my Unlimited, and whether or not I can also do the bow mount motor and feel good about it. So we're going to really push the weight limit on that thing. And it's kind of a toss up between those two though. Like, that's where I'd be at. And I would ditch the pedals on the Titan X entirely.
I would keep my U10. If I could only have one kayak and it came down to it, this is just me building something else. The U10 is perfect for me because it's great. It's good in the river. It's actually really good in big water with a motor on it, and specifically their quick connect system and their steering system. You can take the motor off with unplug 2 plugs, pull one pin out, the motor's off. The battery then comes immediately right off, whether it's in your crate or you have it behind the crate. And then that kayak it weighs nothing. Loading and unloading, I'm so comfortable. It was doing all that for the first time last week. Took me 3 minutes. I filmed the whole thing unbroken. It was 3 minutes to do an unload. That's with a separate set of wheels not attached. Like, no effort. It was incredible. Nice. And that to me is like a really big deal. Like that's the reason I've gotten out of some other kayaks, and I was super comfortable in that boat. So that is the one. If I could only have one, that would be the one.
Okay, silly question. How many kayaks do you guys have? You guys have mentioned like
you guys have multiple.
We've gone through like 8, I think 8 or 9 the last couple.
How many
of
do
years.
you currently have? Like each of you?
Sold 2.
Currently, we're down to 2 each, or Paul might have 3 with the inflatable.
I'm sitting on golly.
Yeah,
where do you keep all these things?
Freaking, I don't know, bro. I had to go on Amazon and I found this wall mount that was like one of the few that had the weight capacity. So at one point, we had, or in my garage, I had the Old Town, I had the Titan, I had the Unlimited, I had the Crescent Shoaly, and then I had the Wilderness Systems iAttack. And 2 of them were on the wall.
Got a whole kayak store in your garage.
I know, right? We had a flotilla, an
that's
armada,
kind of
if you
I will
will.
say that's probably what makes us unique is we take the time to go and test out whatever comes out. So,
We try
and
to
then
stay
sometimes
fresh,
and then we'll do a build just to do a build to show people what's possible. So I did a full LT2 Crescent light tackle.
Yeah.
We had the NK on it, split steering, a bunch of accessories. That kayak only weighs 79 pounds base, which is really light, but it's almost 13 feet. So it's like it's a really cool, or it's almost 12 feet. So really cool build. And then the price is like really low. Like I added every single component that I had in there, and it was like under 5,000, and that included the motor and like all the accessories.
Your boy
like
can't afford that.
Back, like
can't do that with 5 kayaks at a time.
well, yeah, but then so then I sold that one to somebody who got a great deal on it and is going to be really happy with the kayak because basically it's other than one hole that he's going to put the same unit in. It's brand new. But yeah, like testing out the Shoaly, like that was really important to us. I don't want to go around saying like, well, this is the best river kayak when I haven't tested the one that I probably think is the best. And so we take the time to really test everything. So whether it's all the new canoe stuff or whether it was the Crescents when Crescent was really bumping and had like 7 or 8 different models that came out in like 3 years, we tested all of them. So that's something that's a little unique about us. And then that lends itself to like, hey, let's do a build. Show me what it actually costs. Show me what it actually weighs. Does the steering work the way you think? Like, can you put a rudder on this one or not? Like, do you need one or not? All that kind of stuff. So
and we've ended up doing probably 6 or 7 custom kayak builds. Like
maybe like 8.
Maybe 8, including the inflatables.
But, the old town too, and the inflatables,
yeah. So it's a lot, but we kind of made that like a huge corner of our channel. So to be fair, it's just something we do. All right, let's get into enough kayak talk. I want to get into it. I know you folks are here for the deal in terms of actual fishing stuff. So let's get into it. So I was looking at your website, and I think it's cool that you have a website. We had a website at some point. Technically. And we were like, what are we doing? We got rid of it. I like your website though. It looks solid. And I love the meet the host section. So I wanted to go through this with you a little bit. I
haven't looked at this in probably 3 or 4 years.
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask if you updated this at all. So we'll see if things have changed, right? We know you're still in Dayton. Species you're chasing. If you're still chasing that skinny water, I'm assuming it's still largies, smallies, and muskie. You guys not?
Yeah.
Did Jeff just freeze out?
I'm here. Don't worry about it. So you had largies, smallies, and muskie. Do you guys have pike that you fish?
There are a few little pike around here. Like you don't want to catch them, obviously. Like you avoid them at all costs. You don't want to catch pike.
How could you be a muskie fisherman and not want to catch pike?
Oh, don't no. Don't compare the two.
I'm not saying they're comparable, totally but like
oh no. One is a beautiful, majestic,
pike, beautiful, majestic.
I
get it.
Amazing, challenging fish. The other should be eradicated from the face of the earth.
Whoa! Shots fired.
I hate pike with a passion.
That's stunning to me.
Ugh,
that's
dude,
my
little. I've got
vinegar buddy.
Scars on my hands from them. Like they steal my chatterbaits. They steal my 1.5
joy.
But if I get chainsawed by a muskie, I'm gonna get a tattoo circling it and saying "Gold Star" for me.
Well, yeah, but I'm targeting the muskie with like big gear and stuff. Like pike just steal my bass stuff.
Oh man,
no, they're terrible.
We talked about on the show before.
I think you need to add that to your page.
Pike and Canadian geese could just be wiped off the face of the earth.
First of
all,
all, it's Canada geese.
Well, whatever they are, send them back.
Send them back. They're from here.
We've got to
build the wall.
Yeah, a very, very tall wall
to the sky, all the way up.
That's funny.
Stratosphere that sucker. Okay, so
but we do have like if it's we don't target pike for sure. I don't want to catch pike, but we have like sawguy and walleye that we'll go after too. Sawguy especially. Sawguy's a big Ohio thing.
It really is.
Yeah,
that's all right. Awesome. So we got updated. Talk to your website editor. They need to make some edits to your website. Just saying. Just call it out there for you. Helping out.
I will. I'll after this. I will put on there most hated species. No pike.
Canada goose.
Yeah.
Pike. All right. So you talked a little bit about the types of water that you're fishing. So you got mostly just moving water, current. You have on there creeks, rivers. Which is odd. That's like one of our favorite ways to go fish as well. So I love that. And then favorite techniques, finesse or topwater, which you don't typically see side by side for favorites. So when you say finesse, what's like your favorite finesse way to fish?
I mean, I'm partial to the Ned just because it's such a big part of how we fish around here. Just and like dragging a Ned. I think dragging a Ned and getting that just off the bottom, because you're pulling it through, current rock type deal where it's just you're almost doing the river version of going offshore and counting rocks with a football jig, right? Except it's on a much smaller scale and you're just rock, doink. Like that's what you're waiting for. And so that anticipation, I love that. But I think finesse is one of my favorite tactics just because it's a necessity of where we are and how we fish. Like if you want to catch a ton of fish, you better get good at finesse. Like you're in South Central Ohio.
It's the numbers game.
So what's what's like your favorite finesse rod? Like what rod are you like, if I could only have one finesse rod, like what not only, but like what's one of the ones where you're like, I need to have this one?
I'm gonna out myself with like it's the only bougie combo that I have is my finesse river rod. And it's an NRX.
Of course it's an NRX.
But you can't afford a new
NRX 872. Nasty. Absolutely nasty. Now I will say I got one of the new GLXs in. I bought one of the new ones that came out. Disgusting too. Nasty. So, but if there is, and if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said you were absolutely crazy if I was going to spend that much money on a spinning rod. Like, not a chance. But again, around here, like your spinning rod is your most versatile, most used rod. And so if I have to pick one rod to go out and wade with all day and only take one thing with me, well, then, okay, it makes sense to spend a little bit more money on that rod. So I've got like that with a Vanford on it, and it's just the nastiest little finesse combo you'll have.
There it is.
Well, how long is it though?
The one I've got now is 7.3.
7.3.
Yeah.
That's a banger. Yeah, you're not going to miss there.
Yeah. But some other ones like a Caden, like a 711 Caden from Dobbins is a nice little finesse rod that I used to use for a long time. I had a Zodius for a little bit I really liked. So we've had some good finesse rods around here, but right now my go-to is the NRX. It's tough to get out of your hand.
We've heard that from Punch Fishing, who's sort of like, if I was going to go spend $500 on something that was
the pinky out related,
that's the guy I would call. And he'd probably say the same thing.
Yeah. I do think you're going to see a lot of people though that'll say it makes more sense. Like with this new GLX that came out, I think you're going to see a lot of NRX guys start to buy GLXs.
It's cheaper. It's themselves. Like
it's the same. It almost feels almost
the same thing.
It's
they put the new joke because that they put that on the bags of cream.
Oh yeah.
And we just found out about this, and I was like, oh my god.
Sorry to interrupt, but it was
no, you're good. The new GLX has that the same reel seat as the NRX and all the CI4 Plus seat and all that kind of stuff. The only thing difference, which I love, is they got rid of the stupid recoil guides that are on the NRX. Those ones that boing go right back, but the problem is they get hung up in real thin braid a lot of times. And so just give me normal guides, which is what the GLX has on it now.
We didn't need that.
I hate recoils. You what?
Anytime
it's like we didn't need that innovation.
Braid.
Like I like it, but we didn't.
It's good in theory. I like that it's harder for me to snap it off, but if it's getting caught in my 10-pound braid every 7th cast and wrapping around, this is pointless. Yeah,
dude, it's even worse. You go lower in that braid. Oh my gosh! Like, you get a whippy BFS rod and you're running 4-pound test BFS braid. Good luck. Like, it just likes to knot itself up around the tip.
Are you guys getting into all this like finesse braid that's coming out now?
We've been using it for, I don't know, 2 years. We've been dabbling in a lot of it. We did like the J braid. We moved into Varivas. And then
I've tested at least 6, 10 different brands.
10?
And then I tested at least 5 different colors.
Have you used the X braid yet?
No.
The X braid finesse?
Oh
boy. Really? Make that your next one.
At what break strength?
I think the one I had was 10 pound. I think. I mean, it's like all the other finesse ones. It's scary thin, obviously, but it just came out. It's over from Japan, and Daiwa is distributing it. So it's all going through Daiwa, and it's starting to hit stores. Like I think with the past 2 weeks or so.
Yep. Yeah, I would tell and people ask. Nasty. We get that question a lot, and I tell most people like, I want to tell everybody go look at Varivas because it is killer. It holds its color so good. It's I had blue braid on all season, never cut it, and it looked new. And it is, but it's really thin, and you got to learn your diameters when you're making your purchases. I think that's why they made a bass version. So they were like, get this for bass, because like people are buying their second thinnest that's like really for trout fishing and stuff, and you're supposed to have like a super soft rod, and
they do a good job labeling them.
They do a good job, but like there's so many options that people get lost in it. And
the X4, the X8.
I tell people like get Varivas X8, it'll change your life. As soon as you get used to that, then go to the X4 because it's actually stronger, but it's way thinner.
You talking for spinning stuff?
Oh yeah.
Spinning and BFS.
Oh, spinning only. Yeah, this is for like ultra. Okay. This is the only for like if you were looking for like a 4 to 6 pound, like 8 pound at most. Like true finesse. Like the stuff you're gonna be throwing is like 1/16, maybe at the 1/8 would be like the sweet spot for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, not a medium light setup.
The casting on it's insane, and when you're in like, so I'm in a place on Lake St. Clair where like I'm fishing the same 200 feet of water for 4 days straight because it's like the backyard, right?
Yeah.
But if I've got a setup like that, those fish have no idea that you're there. When you're using, I mean, truly, they don't even know you're casting half the time. If you're careful about how far you can cast out and then bring the lure back in, they don't even know where you are. They don't even get conditioned to know where you are, and it's because it's just so freaking finessey. So it's yeah.
We just got to talk about finesse because that's
what we just got. Euro tackles. We just got Euro tackles line, and it is
the micro.
People complain about it breaking. I'm like, you just need to get a lighter rod. That's your problem. You need a softer rod.
Had no issues with it.
Hyper skinny. It was nice. I loved it.
Yeah.
So, are you ready for you guys to maybe hate me?
I'm ready.
I think this is we're probably gonna end the live right here.
All right, I'm ready.
I am very much not a BFS guy.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, I don't care.
Most very are not cool. BFS.
Not. I can't do it. I don't get it.
Yeah. It's all good, man.
You don't get it. You don't get it.
I mean, other than maybe the novelty of going out and like little creek fishing and being like, oh, I'm using a casting rod to do this.
It's fun. Yeah, that's all it really comes down to.
All it is.
Yeah. I just don't see I'm such a practical person. Like my brain is just wired to be like practical uses, and if that doesn't make more sense than this, I'm not going to do it. And it just it's so hard for me to get into BFS
for the money.
One maybe two really practical ways that I love using it. Number one would be swim baits. So 100%. BFS swim baits, the ultralight, it's just so much better on a casting setup.
You're going to get an 8-to-1 ratio.
Yep.
Yeah.
All day. Same with Topwater.
You're talking like little like paddle tails and stuff, or like jointed?
Little 2-inch.
No, you're talking like
hard swim baits and glide baits. So like look at the
like that little raptor thing or whatever they call it. What's
the raptor? The raptor's one of them. The jackal baby Giron, and then Euro Tackle just dropped the Nage in a 2.5 ball. Is it? It's 2.5 inch, I think. So little tiny swim baits, and we were smashing. Mine is covered in teeth marks now. It's like we were just smashing on these little swim baits.
Well, and
BFS is the way to go with it.
And pitching too. I think like when you're running,
that was my next one.
Micro Texas and stuff, you could definitely get away with it. This is like nitpicky BS. Really? There's like 5 things where I would be like, I would actually prefer to have the BFS. You do not need it in all instances. There is something though I will say to be said for having the higher retrieve ratio. And that really is like the biggest difference is if you wanted to go like, especially like a creek fisherman, you want to have the 6-foot rod, but you want to be able to cast far, but you want to be able to flip and pitch with some accuracy. You kind of get all that in the same package, and you can run Topwater at a speed that actually makes sense, and you can jig at a speed that kind of makes sense if you need to catch up a little line. So, and I will say the shallow spool is a huge help because there's nobody other than Cast King that makes a shallow spool for an ultralight. And then you get a super shallow spool usually with the BFS. So you're not wasting like a ton of line. You put like a quarter of a spool line on there, and you can use that same spool like 4 different times because you're only putting 80 yards on there. So there's something, it's all nitpicky though. It's really just fun. And if you're into like spending money and tinkering, it's like a whole other planet.
There's so many upgrades that you can do to those BFS reels. That's insane. And you could carry, it'd be like fly fishing almost, because you could carry multiple spools spooled up with different pound test line. And, dude, some of the guys that are really into it, my gosh.
Oh, no.
Not me.
All right. But that's enough BFS talk. We don't care.
We don't
don't like it. That's totally fine. We're not going to die on that hill. It's a blast for us.
Okay. We're still friends.
Yeah.
It's still so
less good, but still friends.
But still technically friends.
All right. All right. So like we talked about finesse there. You also had Topwater in here. What's like your favorite Topwater lure? I'm going out of the water. I'm going to get something on top. It has to be this.
Labine Lures Rico.
Well, now I have to look up a thing.
That was way too fast, bro. He was like, "Get through your sentence. I'm gonna answer you."
I got it. Locked and loaded.
Okay, so a popper, right? What color?
Yeah. Bone, Tennessee shad, Volt. They've got like a black one with a chartreuse feather tail on it.
He gets it.
All black, Black Beauty, all this, just your normal.
So why this popper over every other one? Because it's $22.
Yeah.
It ain't free.
It pains me. And I pay $22.99 just like everybody else does for them, and I do it. It's so the one thing I'll say when I'm buying a topwater, unlike most other baits, you're not going to lose a topwater unless you do something real stupid as much, or if a darn pike comes through. Yeah, and in that case, that's what 45 in the back belt is for, and it doesn't. It's never going to take another popper again. No,
just genociding pike. I used to take a 45 out, and I'm just using a belt. Oh yeah,
let's go. You're gonna learn today.
Wow, the video of you slapping a pike with a belt and then releasing it, being like, "And never forget."
Never forget. He just like he slowly swims away, like crying. No, so and I've used every popper under the sun. I love poppers. Poppers are, I think they made a comeback about a year or two ago, but they are one of the most slept on topwaters. They're old school, the old Top R's, the Rebels, stuff like that. You can keep a popper in the strike zone so much longer than almost any other topwater bait on the planet. There are going to be sometimes you want to cover water. That's totally fine. You want to work a buzzbait or a spook or something fast over the, point or whatever. That's fine. But if I'm like casting at a laydown, if I'm casting at an eddy, somewhere where you want to milk that spot for more than just 3 seconds, you can work a popper in place for so long. And the problem with poppers a lot of times is just consistency of motion. I want to know, I want a popper that I can close my eyes and I know what it's doing without looking at it. And that's where you get into the difference between a $1.99 popper and a $22 popper is consistency of motion. And it's the little stuff too. It's like coming with the hooks that you're not going to have to change out. The stock hooks are totally fine, like that kind of stuff. But
same as a jerkbait.
Exactly. But that popper is the most consistent moving popper that I've ever used. Like if you want to walk it, you can walk it. If you want to walk it in place, you can walk it in place. Like it is just, you don't have to worry about, like the poppers where you'll give it the 2 pops and goes right, left, right, left, right, 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 left, left,
down,
right, right, left, right, left, right.
A, B, A, B.
I want
select.
do what you're supposed to do, darn it. And that popper does it. And it's a confidence thing, right? I've been using them for about 2 years now and love it. So a Labine Lures Rico. I know it's expensive. I know it's a pain in the tail to buy them, but I've had the same Rico that I've got on my river rod right now. I've had it for like a year and a half. So $20 is not that big a deal.
If it goes along, that's something we argue about a lot too. It's like, hey, I know these are more expensive, but they're going to last you a long time. And topwater, I feel a little more comfortable buying a more expensive topwater than I do say like a sinking swim bait that's $130 because I'm guaranteed to lose a swim bait at some point in time. This popper, for the most part, is going to survive a lot of situations unless Paul had a popper get T-boned by a pike and there was no retrieving it. She gone.
Why so bad for that?
Why they shouldn't exist.
If it wasn't
serves him right
for that fish, if it didn't break off, I was gonna eat it. It was huge.
Teach a lesson.
And I was excited about it, but I knew I wasn't getting that. That fish wasn't gonna survive the removal. That thing, he literally T-boned this thing, and it was just like
cheek to cheek.
Oh my god!
Cheek to cheek, and he was smiling, just like grab it. I dare you. And I was
like a 33-inch pike too. It wasn't
a big dog. It was not small. I felt so horrible.
Yeah, it was not good, but you know what? Nature got to have a snack that week. So nature, it went back to nature. It's all good. So
that's why first choice for sure. And then second probably is the micro buzz from Jig Masters.
Oh, I love that.
Banger.
I have lost too many of those, but I love those things because I threw it on BFS. If I threw it on a regular tag, it would have been fine.
I have a soft spot for that one because I was like, it was like 4 or 5 years ago where I texted Cody. I was like, Cody, I've waited for someone for 5 years to make this and no one has made it. Can you please help me? And he's like, all right, what do you want? And probably, it took 6 months to get it right, but it's just, it's perfect.
It is great.
It's amazing. Nice work on that. And
The
chat,
first buzzbait I ever got was the Pond Magic from Booyah, the little one.
Yeah.
Micro. And I was like,
and the Strike King Mini Pro Buzz. Those were the two first, like the only really like micro buzz baits out there, and they're terrible. Like they're just the size you want,
but they were cheap.
So but they're also the price you want. So that was the deal. I was like, well, it's like $5 new lure. Maybe I got a 3-pack.
Yeah.
So
but can someone use more than whatever it is? 20 thou wire on these things, please? Yeah. Like, can we get some wire that'll hold up to more than a crappie?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I did catch on them, and I actually tied my own. I tied my own craft fur to the red one.
Ooh.
And I actually caught a lot of fish on that one. That was the only batch that I actually hammered. That was the one that I still have. The rest of them I gave away because I did like a spinner bait, a buzz bait, and then I actually took a big, huge buzz bait that was like really for like frogs and stuff. And I was like, this never works. And so I tied that one up too. And I ended up giving the other ones away. But that one actually slapped. That was a good one because it had like, I tied like 2 feet onto it, and I tied it so that it was like crappy feathers. But they were crappy in just the right way. So they looked just like legs. And so they were always sticking out. And I was like, well, this is perfect. I was going to throw these away, but now they're for this. And that thing actually, that was a baller lure. I like that.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. The Pond Magic Buzz is in this Banking Creek bag for these 2 months. Yeah.
There you go.
Also the Pond Magic spinner too. But yeah, good baits. So you guys, if you want a $22 popper, go check out Labina, the Rico. It's on Tackle Warehouse, $22. Pretty sweet. I will sometimes we like on a podcast. By the end of this episode, you'll probably recommend a few baits. We will go pick them up.
Yep.
This will not be one of them, but we'll look at other ones too.
It won't be?
No, we're not getting an NRX or GLX or this. Sorry, Paul.
He said we got a $7 limit here.
Dang, bro. So mad. I do love poppers. Is like one of my favorites too. I always have a couple poppers. So it is like whenever I don't know what's gonna work and I know it's Topwater, that's the first thing I'm trying. Guaranteed.
Yep.
I mean, when we had freaking Brendan Brown was on here and we got the 2 battalions, we're like, let's not buy our first battalion. Let's get like 2 megabass battalions.
Maybe we just get some friends with like cheaper taste.
Why do you guys like all the really expensive stuff? Okay, fine. We'll just keep going. All right. So Finesse and Topwater, which it totally makes sense with where you're fishing. I love it. Yeah. And now the last one, I want to get into some of the other fun questions that we got on the show that I'm going to go on your website under Meet the Host. Your go-to fishing snack is a blue Powerade Zero.
Yes, sir.
That's your snack. Explain.
Every time on the, I don't know. It's just, it's like Pavlov's dog. Like if I'm going fishing, I'm stopping at Speedway and getting a blue Powerade Zero. And that's just like,
that checks out.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's a hydration methodology. That is not a snack. That's my point. So
I don't really like
define snack.
I don't really bring food with me too often. Like I'm the guy that'll be like 7 hours into the river trip and my buddy's over there with like 3 PBJs. I'm like, I would kill for one of those. Why didn't I bring anything? It's like because I never do.
Wait, your buddy wouldn't throw you a PB&J?
He probably would have asked. 3? Instead, I'm just like,
look, I'm good. Eats 3 and
over there crying like, I'm fine.
I'm so hungry. You're like,
I'm so hungry. That's a
I don't need it. Yeah, it's a SpongeBob meme. I don't need it.
There was a Family Guy where he's like just eating all this, but you can have what's left, and he's eating all of it on the table.
That's me on the water. Dude,
savage.
Snacks.
Yeah, Jeff and I are a problem. We have like planned out like when somebody's having a bad day, we're gonna have a snack time. We're gonna have a giant power bar or whatever. We're gonna eat a sandwich and maybe a cheese stick
out on the water or like afterwards.
Oh yeah, no, on the water, and we will chill.
See, I'm the guy that will go 12 hours and not eat anything, and then eat like a total jerk, like on the way home. Just stop at some gas station or somewhere and just be
McDonald's on the way to Wendy's.
Piece of crap. Yeah, exactly.
I'll get my nuggies here. I'll get my burger over here.
They got the
like I've earned this. I haven't eten anything all day. I've been kayaking all day. What? 3,000 calories. We're good.
I've earned that. Yeah, you use your motor the whole day. I've earned this.
That's the one that always gets me.
Yeah,
because I'll be like, no, I was fishing all day, and then I look back, and I'm like, yeah, every single thing I do, I paddled 4 times.
I paddled not to the ramp 1 time.
not the hardest thing I did was drive.
Yeah. You existed for 12 hours.
Oh, dude. This past weekend, I got out on the water and I pushed off, and I went to go throw my NK 180 on, and it started throwing every error code under the sun and was just completely broke. And so I had to paddle back upstream after fishing all day. And I don't know how I used to do that. I used to do that every time I went out, and I got done. I was like, dude, this sucks. Like, I'm dead. I can barely get my kayak out of the water. I'm so tired getting back upstream.
It's hard now. It's hard. We did a river trip the other
pedals,
day.
Right?
Well, I didn't have them with me. When I go on the river, usually I don't take my pedals with me.
Don't take them.
Oh,
gotcha.
No. I put the little like blocker thing in there, whatever, the little spacer thing that just covers the hole. I just put that in there and then go, because I never use my pedals when I have my motor at the river.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I mean,
fair enough.
I wish I had them that day. It would have been nice to have, but
once I get the NK, I'll probably be the same way, because I like taking the Unlimited out, which doesn't have pedals. But I could take the Titan X out if I wanted to. I don't like running it with the pedals in, because it's not the same as the fin drive. It's that like die cast metal, full pedal setup.
There's something to be said for that.
There is
instant reverse.
Yeah.
Braking, basically.
That baseball.
We had a whole argument about this, and we were like,
because the 180 drive is borderline instant reverse. It's as close as you need to be. I didn't say it was.
You're talking about just pulling the lever and being able to
just pull a lever.
I like that, but it's not the same.
You're there.
I might have to agree with Paul on this one, because coming from a guy that had an Old Town, and I got spoiled with it. I got spoiled being able to like head toward a tree and be like, whoop, just kidding. And you're like, now I can't do that.
And that's what I was telling him. I was telling him this. It's not about the speed of switching, because they are very close. It's about the speed at which it engages and how fast it actually impacts your speed in the kayak. Because that instant reverse, like it's the only kayak that the PDL specifically, because that thing is so heavy duty and overbuilt. It's the only one that I have felt like actually was instant reverse. Because when even at full speed, if you let it coast for a second and then you kick it in, you get this like jerk. It's super fast but on the Titan X,
the native does not do that.
It's not instant. It's not. It's quick, but it's not instant. The PDL,
that Old Town is on a dime.
It is like, and you feel it in the pedals, but you also feel it like you literally have this, like the same thing you have when you push the button on the trolling motor. Like when you hit that button, it's like bang and bang, like you're feeling it. That's a similar feeling. So I just think it's different. It's just different, but my opinion.
Well, your opinion.
Sorry,
Jeff. Moving on.
Fair enough.
Fair. And that's your opinion of my opinion. All right. So I wanted to talk more about your podcast that you're running, obviously, too. And if you guys, I see a lot of folks in here, big Tackle Talk fans. So that is awesome to see in chat. If you guys haven't checked out his podcast, obviously go do that. Go listen in. When do you post your episodes? Just so folks know, and then we'll get into some questions about it.
Every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
When you wake up, it'll be up. It goes up at midnight. So if you got to wake up at 3 a.m. for your construction job or whatever, it'll be up and ready to go.
Boom. Ride to work with it. I love it. Yeah. Have you ever considered going live?
No.
No. Why not?
This right now stresses me out. Like
you're doing great.
Stresses
me out too. I just roll with it.
I'm a control freak. I am a perfectionist. I want to make sure that everything is perfect before it gets put out. So like I've told people this before, like people think, you just throw on a microphone and talk for an hour and like that's what you do a week. I've probably got 12 to 15 hours a week into each episode by the time everything's said and done. Like I've got show prep. Like I've probably got not like script or anything, but I probably got 10, 12 pages of notes of things that I actually want to make sure that I talk about and I don't miss, and I keep like my structure and stuff. I've got that. I record it. Then I've got, hours of editing to make sure. I mean, it's not perfect, obviously, when I record it. So you've probably got, I don't know, an hour and 20 minutes of raw that ends up being an hour and 5 or an hour and 10. Like it's all, edited down and stuff. And I like that because I like to be able to control it. And that was what I wanted to do, is I wanted to put out something and I can hide behind not being live and make it sound a lot more professional than it is because I get the chance to edit it, obviously, which I like.
No, I totally get it. And you're putting a lot of work into it. So that's why people appreciate it. I think they're seeing the quality in that. And it's funny too, because when you talk about structure, our structure is like 3 moist marshmallows holding up this entire show.
He's not wrong, though.
That's pretty much the analogy. There are show notes. There are show notes, and we do roughly follow them. But we used to have an off the rails counter because, like, we'll go on tangent. The beginning of the show is a great example. We went off on a tangent on kayaks, and then we went off on a tangent on genociding pike. So I mean, like, you'll go on that tangent. Exactly. And like in Canada goose versus Canadian geese. What's the difference? One doesn't exist. And then,
other than that, nothing.
They really aren't. It's not. You weren't joking. It's not. There's no Canadian geese.
No, it's not Canadian. It's Canada. It's Canada goose. If you said Canadian geese to like somebody in on the border, they'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?"
Now I have to Google
about
this.
walls. We'll make
I don't know if I'm being gaslit right now. I don't know if this is.
I wouldn't do that.
We do that to you. Have not been known to do that.
Canadian goose.
Maybe we start.
Canada goose. Okay. All right.
Score one for AAA. Let's go.
Learn something today.
Nobody knew this was a match, but it totally has been the whole time. All right. So I want to jump back to your podcast. I'm curious because this is really interesting to me, and appreciate you sharing that, like how you feel about lives. We've loved doing the lives because it just totally simplifies it, and we focus on like the YouTube videos over that. But what I'm curious about is when it comes to your podcast, like, what are your favorite types of topics to cover? Because I mean, how many episodes have you done first? How many episodes?
I think next week's 260. I think we're at 259 right now, something like that. Yeah.
A lot. You started before we started our live because we did 2 podcasts because we killed the previous one, but we're up over 200, somewhere in like 210, 215. So you've done a lot of episodes, got a lot of different topics under your belt. What's like your favorite topic to cover?
I think my favorite episodes, and they're the hardest ones to do, but they're worth it in the end, are the like scientific or scholarly type episodes, like where we get the chance to talk with a researcher about a specific research project. Like I am a freaking nerd. Like I, on my lunch break, will go and read research papers, like, you know, from colleges or whatever about bass topics, like that they'll go out and they'll try and prove or disprove something. And I'll read, you know, the overview. And then if I like it, I'll download the entire PDF or request the PDF from the researchers and read it. And like, I love doing that because fishing is so much about, well, this guy told me to do this. This guy told me to do this. Papaw told me to do this. This guy says I can't smell. This guy says I do smell. You know, I like the people taking a scientific approach to things and trying to at least back it up with some form of research versus hearsay. And so I love that. Now, the problem is, the problem is though, like you read one of those and you're like, this is interesting. 80% of this is over my head. I digested 20% of this. I would love the chance to talk to this person and better understand it. And they're hard to get a hold of. They don't do fishing podcasts. It's not like the guy in the Elite series that gets asked every 2 days to do a podcast. You come from the clouds, some random dude in a bedroom shoots you an email and you're a professor at a college in Canada and I want you to come on a bass fishing podcast. I'm like, what? You're like, okay, how's this guy talking about? Yeah. Sounds weird. But then you have the thing where you'll talk to them, and I'll usually do like a preliminary conversation with them just to make sure it's going to be a good fit. And so many of them are not a good fit because they're too academic. Like they can't talk to us. And they can't put things in
dummies
terms, that we can understand. And every once in a while you get really lucky and you find one that does, and it's great. But there have been so many that I've had that first phone call or that first conversation with that doesn't turn into an episode because you can tell really fast. It's not going to work. So, but those are my favorite. Like we just did one a couple weeks ago with a guy that did a research project. The only ones that have been done on soda on gill injuries. And it's like that kind of stuff. I think it's super cool.
Wild. That was, I didn't know that was a thing. And then I realized based on your podcast that it's actually not a thing that people think is a thing. So
a lot of
people listen to that. That's
so that kind of stuff.
Dude, that's
or biology stuff, fish tracking, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think that stuff is so cool. And I'm just glad that the listeners, you know, humor me and put up with those type of episodes. Cause those are the episodes that I want to do, are like, I want to learn something. I want to listen for 30 minutes to an hour and come away and be like, that was super cool. Like I had no idea. I learned something. I can take that out to the water, tell my buddies about it. So those are probably my favorites for sure. I like the gear review stuff because we don't have any sponsors that tell us what to do or not to do. We don't work with any. My big thing from day one is I will never work with any rod, reel, line, or bait company. And that way everything stays unbiased. If I review something, I bought it. I bought it with my own money. So you know that I feel like I've purchased the right to crap on that product if I don't like that
100%,
product.
yeah.
Like that
Absolutely.
is, I hate, my biggest pet peeve in the world is people that call things gear reviews when they're just PR puff pieces.
You posted that last week, and I was like, that I find it weird. So we've been on both sides, kind of, sort of.
Well, we did the sponsored side for I think 3.5 years, and we've been doing the no sponsors side for the past 1.5 years.
Yeah, and hats off to you guys.
And it's very much like, you get almost no credit for it, like almost none, because a lot of people will see a review that you did not knowing that you don't have sponsors, and then
they assume
think
that
you're making it. People think I'm
yeah.
making commercials, and I'm literally just telling you about things that I think are cool. Like I will find something.
Not allowed to get hyped about it.
They're like you're not allowed to enjoy it. Like Great Lakes Finesse. Like I love some of their baits. Like
Dan's a great guy, makes great products.
God dang, these are sick. And they're like, you're a sellout. That's your brand. Blah blah blah. I'm like,
that's your brand. That's my favorite thing. We'll post about a Crescent kayak, and like 90% of the comments on that 2 million view Instagram reel that was an accident are like, it should never cost that much. And then people would be like complaining about the company to us, like we're the company.
Like you're overcharging. I'm like,
I had a guy DM us.
I didn't do anything. I bought a kayak and like it.
I stood on
we didn't even buy it. We tested
it. How much it was. Like that was literally it. And it's
we got a DM from a guy who was like, "Yo, I ordered a kayak. Where is it?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? I don't
customer
sell
service."
I'm sorry,
but it is weird because like I don't like
a
lot. Like when I make those like commercially like sounding things, it's purely because I think it's cool and I want people to know about it. We try Hobie Eyewear has like a clip on, but it's like, they're really high in polarization, right? And I was like, well, somebody who doesn't want to have 3 pairs of sunglasses or can't afford them, like that makes a lot of sense for someone who doesn't want to buy like a whole separate pair of RX glasses. So we made the video, put it out there, and we just got absolutely crapped on. And I was like, wow, I'm literally just telling you, like, I thought this was cool. That's 75, 80, 90% of the videos that I make for shorts. That is the premise. Saw this, thought it was neat for somebody. Have a nice day. And I'm in and out. 1 minute less for everything. And I find it's very hard, but like we spend a lot of time trying to get to the point where I can say that. So even though we do have brands send us stuff because gear review is a bigger part of what we do, and I couldn't afford to do it otherwise, we're very transparent. I will tell you when something comes for free. I will tell you whether we bought it or not. And then we have a very, very hard, firm stance on we don't take any money, no cash whatsoever, no kickbacks. If there's ever a code, you're getting the money, and so is the company. I've never seen a dime of it. Same with the closest we would ever get is if there was like a charity that we were trying to support, and we say, hey, if you use this code, the 10%, it doesn't come to me, it goes to a charity of our choice. And that is the closest that we
for example, AAA NFX is the code. You can get 10% off, and 10% goes back to autism anglers with Fish NFX rods. So that was like just a cool opportunity like that comes up. We love autism anglers. They're a great organization, and
that's who we always pretty much done. Them or Dana-Farber are the only two. So cancer research and autism are the two that we've
Fish NFX rods. The rods have been great. You get 10% off, 10% goes to that company. So that's just cool. But yeah, it's interesting having those conversations with the company, right? Like they're like, okay, I'll send you some stuff. Also, here's like our affiliate link, and we'll track all your sales on here. And we're like, whoa. Here's the deal. Like, in our opinion, it works better if we don't do that. Please don't send us any money. And they're always like, huh?
Like, they're very confused.
That's the funniest thing in the world is, I mean, you guys get it to a point too. I get it all the time. People, because I won't even, just because it's more so it helps me sleep at night, because I know I wouldn't be able to set aside if you can set aside the bias of getting free stuff and still being honest about it, more power to you. I just know that I don't have the power to do that. I know if someone sends me something for free, I feel like I should be inclined to be positive about it for that person. And that's been my tough part the whole time. So instead, I won't even take free stuff because I know myself and I know I can't do it. Other people can do it. That's awesome. I don't have the self-control. I would lean more toward positive because I talked to that person. They were a nice guy. They make a okay product. I don't want to crap on it. But if I buy it and I spend my own money on it, well, guess what, buddy? Like I get the chance to say. And we've made, there are a lot of companies that I'll never get a Christmas card from, and that's totally fine. And it's just my opinion. We've had some real awkward conversations with people, and that's fine.
Oh, we have the other thing too, though, that I would say is if there was something that we didn't like, I wouldn't take it for free because I'll buy it to give a negative review.
Right.
And then so we buy things with the intent of being like, I know that this is for somebody. And then so the spin that usually you'll see is it's a pros and cons because like a Hobie Outback is a perfect example. A Hobie Outback is not for everybody. It's expensive. It's kind of thin. And if you're expecting to like stand up all the time on it, it probably won't make sense for you. There's other kayaks that are cheaper that do that better. But for some people, it is. If you're an ocean fisherman, a big open water, and you want to go fast, for someone who wants to live in the current, for somebody who wants a heavier boat and wants like a big, really well designed kayak, like this makes a ton of sense. So when I get it, a lot of times what we end up doing is saying, for this person, it's perfect. For some other people, probably not. These are some things we don't like. Like I hate saying that crescents don't feel stable but they don't. They just don't. You stand on them, they feel unstable.
But some people want to be stable, water.
But some people only want to sit and fish. That kayak is for you. So I make the video saying crescents are not perfect, but they're perfect for somebody. So if you're into this, it's perfect for you. If you want a stand-up boat, do not buy this one. And that's where when people send us stuff, we have like a canned response. It's like, if it's a 4-star or below, I'm not going to make a single thing on it. And we're going to talk about it because I'm going to we're going to fix this problem because it's big. If it's 4 stars and above, then I'm going to just give that's what you get. And that's what I'm putting out there. So if you don't believe in your product, don't send it to me. And that's the conversation we've had with everybody. And it's amazing how probably 80% of the people we talk to, that's what they want. They're like, please do that. Give the negative feedback. That's fine. Like we are good with that. And we're sending you this with the expectation that if you never make a video, we're good with it. And if you do make one, if you're not being honest, we don't even want you to make it. So many people are willing to stand behind their product. I appreciate that.
Not everybody
until you dump on it.
Not
well, it depends.
Some of them think they can take it, and then they don't.
Some have been really good about it. So like Hobie Eyewear, for example, is one of them. I just got those. Paul was just talking about the Duo with the magnetic clip-on sunglasses, which I really like the concept of. Fit and finish was great. Feel was great. They're super lightweight. Clips worked awesome. Problem, if you get their blue blocker coating, which I didn't ask for, they just sent it to me. Or blue light blocker, not blue blocker, but concept. But that
like
blue
for looking at screens all day or whatever.
The blue light coating, first of all, on most glasses sucks anyways. I don't often recommend it because most screens have blue light blocking capabilities. You can just turn it on like every phone now and every screen. But anyways, it was getting a lot of glare from behind. Like I was seeing my face in the reflection of my glasses when I was out on the water.
Not good.
Exactly. I was like, I can barely see when I'm out there. And they're like, oh, let's look into this. We figured out it was the blue light. And then they took them back for free. They gave me a pre-printed label, all that stuff. And they're going to redo them without the coating. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. Cool. But it also gives you a chance. Like we've done the same with Bixby. We've broken that motor twice now, and we just keep shipping it back and they keep fixing it. Customer service has been great, whether it's us or whether we secret shop them like we did last time. We're like, hey, we're just normal citizens, like fix our motor. And they did. And it was great. But it gives you a chance also to see the full picture of that company. It's not just the product. It's like, okay, longevity product, durability. Does it do what it's supposed to do? We actually beat it up on the water. We always do an end of the year review and come back, go through it. Yeah, we push it a little too hard. And then we get to test our customer service. So it's like the whole picture with it. But I definitely appreciate that you are buying, vast majority, if not all of these products so that you can have that unbiased review. Because I'll agree, like it's hard when somebody gives you a gift and you're like, a toddler, this gift sucks, like that's hard to do. Sometimes we have to. So it's something that took us some practice to get into, but it's good now. And I feel good about it. You're right. Like you got to be able to sleep at night. So I love that. All right. So coming back to your podcast, this is anybody who does a podcast, I have to know this. It's about your guests. So you have a lot of guests on the show. You've done 260 episodes. Like how many guests, if you had to guess how many guests you had, how many would you say it might be?
I bet it's maybe a fourth to a third of those probably have some sort of guest on them. Yeah.
A lot of them. You're closing in on the 100 gap there with guests. So of all of those guests, who was like your all-time favorite? Bet, and this will be, you guys go listen to this show after he says whoever this guest is, obviously.
there's like sentimental, nostalgic ones for me. And then there's like the ones that made the coolest episode that I think you learned the most from. So I think like for me, it's, you know, as a kid growing up, like the Bill Dance and Jimmy Houston episodes are, they were fishing growing up. Like you get the chance to talk to them. And I'm really big on like, if I get the chance to talk to somebody, I want to have a conversation that I haven't heard before. So I want to ask questions I haven't heard a whole lot before. I want new stories and new answers and stuff. And both of those were great. You got to hear those guys open up and talk about things that I'd never heard them talk about in interviews before. So like that's cool. But then I really think like the ones that I come away with and I'm like, that was the darn coolest thing, are the ones that where it is like biologically centered or whatever, where you really learn something. So like a perfect example, this is like 3 years ago, maybe we did a 4-part series called The Bait Breakdown. And I basically went out and found experts for the 4 different types of forage. I found like a bait fish guy. I found a crawfish guy. I found an aquatic entomologist, basically like one of the big ones in the US. And then I found a reptiles and amphibians expert. And I went and interviewed them because we spend so much time trying to like imitate the bait, but we focus more on the biology of the bass. We should be focusing more on what we're out there trying to imitate, which is the craws, the shad, you know, the topwater bugs and stuff like that. So, yeah. So of those, the crawfish episode, there's this guy named Dr. Zach Loafman. He's like the crawfish dude in North America. He's named like
title.
Oh yeah, just crawfish dude. He's like, he's named like 13 species of, and discovered like 13 species of crawdads and all kinds of stuff. And the stuff that he says in that episode, it's one of those episodes that I think people should listen to like 3-4 times a year. Like there's so much in there that I'd never heard any sort of biologist say before about craws, and it makes total sense. Like, for instance, he was talking about they used to go underwater and flip rocks and catch craws, and there would be smallmouth around them that would figure out what they were doing eventually, and they would come up to the researchers and they know, oh, these dudes are flipping rocks over, craws are about to go crazy, let's go eat. And so smallmouth would kind of hang out around them. And he said when they would flip over rocks, some of the rocks would have different species of craws under them. And so they would shoot out and he would watch the smallmouth, and smallmouth would go annihilate certain species of craws. And then other craws they would go up to and they would get close to eating them. And then they would back off and be like, that's not the one I thought it was. And there's like different families of craw with different types of, you know, armor and body profiles.
Oh, those are my baits, actually.
Yeah. What are they?
I'm just joking.
The one they're running away.
Like, oh, that one? No.
No.
But like that kind of stuff. She's like, yeah, the Faxonius craw is the one they gravitate to, and the Cambria craw is. It's like that kind of stuff. It's super cool. I love those episodes. I think are like I walk away. I'm like, that was awesome.
The nerdy stuff. I love it. I mean, you're in welcome company amongst nerds here, so I love that.
We dubbed ourselves the Ned Rig Nerds.
Yeah, that was our first like apparel
Still
thing.
Have one.
Yeah, we made the
Ned Rig
Nerd
Ned Rig Nerds.
I feel like you fit right into this gang right here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'll send you a couple.
Yeah, we'll send you some of those.
You're going on the kayak.
Yeah, the first two designs we did was that.
This will be the decal that holds up better than any other one. Slick. I promise you.
Yeah, those are the originals that we got. It was like real high quality. And then we did
did we do something, Jeff, or are you frozen?
I just keep freezing because my internet sucks now. Yours sucks, mine sucks. This is why, you know, live has its problems, Andrew, as you know. But yeah, we did the Ned Rig Nerds, and we did Flip Around and Find Out. Those are like our first 2 designs. Flip Around and Find Out is a black and blue jig. And
nice.
I think it's sick. I don't think we have any more decals. We burned through those.
We really do. Have them? We can send them one of those. We can send them.
We'll figure it out. All right. So we know the best of the episodes. Worst.
I'll tell you ours too.
Worst guess. You don't have to.
You don't have to out the name. You don't have to out the name. Just
I don't want you to burn bridges.
I'll do it. I'll go first. We'll go first. We had a gentleman on, bait maker, super nice guy, and just out there hustling. Dude just makes baits. That's it. He just makes baits. He doesn't want to do anything else. He doesn't want to market. He doesn't want to even sell them. He just wants.
He doesn't want a podcast.
He loves to do it. He definitely doesn't want a podcast. Comes on the
Especially
show
live.
especially live. He had a
He
camera.
was running everything.
One of those like RoboCams that like follows you, but this was before the technology was hot.
The
so
face tracking.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it was like he was on the other side of a workbench while like 4 microwaves are going.
Mhm.
And we're trying to talk to him, and he's like probably 30 feet from his digicam. And I cannot hear a single thing he's saying. All I
Not
hear is
one
microwaves.
word.
And
He's
he's like,
making
"Rah,
bait."
rah, 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 rah," and I'm like,
Yeah.
brother. And then he would like walk around to the other side of the camera, and the camera would be like, "Where'd you go?" And it would be like, "Eh," and then it would finally find him. He's still going. He's just
It
going.
was like a day in the life of a bait maker. It was
Oh, no.
a unhinged episode. It was so bad. Yeah, that was on our previous podcast, the Burley Fishing podcast.
The old Burley
And
fishing.
yeah, that was horrible for
Brutal.
us because
Absolutely
we're
brutal.
live and we're
That's
like,
tough.
I kept looking at Paul. I'm like, what do we do? We were messaging each other. We're like, what do we do? Like, how do we run this
Send
episode?
help. He's like, I'm asking you for help.
And then I was like, let's just end it. We'll kick him off and be like, oh no, we lost you, and then we'll like end it. So we did. We're like, end the episode.
I don't know. What do you do?
Terrible.
What do you do? Very nice
was awful.
guy.
Oh.
What do you do?
Yeah, he had nice. The baits were nice.
The
We
baits
got
were
a bunch
great,
of his
yeah.
He's just a
classics.
bait maker. He's just like, listen,
He just
Yeah.
loves
I'm
to
making
make a
baits.
good bait. That's right.
We do making baits. All
Making
right.
baits.
All right.
4 microwaves going.
What was your worst?
Oh, okay. So it wasn't the guest, but it was the recording of it, sort of like along your lines. I had a guest come on maybe 2 years ago, and when we got done, great episode, and I go to like start editing and listen to the podcast, and every probably 7 to 8 seconds on his audio, you heard. So it was like, yeah. So then I go to the thing, and then we do this and this, and it's like
That was our
and it-
first live, Paul.
it was
That's
like,
what.
I was like, oh no. Oh, this.
Yeah.
So this will tell you how big of a sociopath I am. So instead of just uploading it, I
Yeah.
went through that
And edited it
entire episode.
No.
I promise you, I went through this entire episode and I edited out every one of them. And if it was in the middle of a word, I found where he said that word later in the episode and subbed it in.
That goes so
Whoa.
deep.
I'm a
That got worse and worse and worse.
sociopath.
See, what you did the first half, I would do that. I would and ask Jeff. I've done that for
We've had to
videos.
fit
I've done that.
some stuff.
Now going back and grabbing the word,
Yeah.
that's
Ain't
you
no
are beyond
way.
me,
It took
and I applaud you.
hours.
Now I'm scared of you.
we used to, yeah, we've had our fair share of technical difficulties with like the YouTube channel videos too. So we used to have our Rode mics. We had the Rode wireless Go mics. I had the second version, and they would drop. We would film a whole video not knowing that the mic was like partially unplugged, and then you get into editing, and it's like like the whole friggin' video is that. So and like I've tried to save those videos, and it's a nightmare. But usually we just reshoot it. We're like, too bad. Bring.
Have
all
you
the
ever forgot
tech
to record? Period.
Yes,
Yeah,
sure
I did
have.
that one time.
we did
The
it
first-
twice. At
I
least
caught it 10 minutes into it. Was our episode with Ike, and I was 10 minutes in with Ike, and I looked down. And I was like, "It's not recording."
Did he just
with
yell at you?
Ike.
So I hit record like at that point,
Yeah.
and basically went from there on out and edit. You can't tell the difference listening to it, but yeah, the first like 10 minutes I was not recording. I was like, "Whoops."
We did that we've done that with
Aaron
a few
Anders.
videos, and with Aaron Anders from Woo Tungsten.
Oh, I thought you said Aaron Andrews. So I was like the
no.
the ESPN
Yeah.
chick. Like,
Yeah, our live show.
Big mistake.
Never
we
should have had
were
her on.
30 minutes into it, dude.
Oh,
30
no.
minutes.
That's my worst nightmare.
And I was like, bro, you're not.
He's the
gonna believe
nicest guy on
this.
planet Earth. He didn't even friggin' blink. He was like,
He was like,
"That
start it.
sucks. You want to start
Roll
over?"
it.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh." I didn't even know what to do. My heart was in my toenails,
Yeah.
and I didn't. I mean, honest to God, that guy has a free pass. He can walk up to my front door and slap me in the face, and I'd be like, "How's it going? You having a good day?"
I deserve that.
Ooh.
Tungsten for life, because honestly, he deserves.
This is for 3 years
the
ago.
nicest
Wow.
guy ever.
It's wild, but yeah, we've had that. Not recording when doing an unboxing, not recording on the water, not
Terrible.
having audio. Recently, we picked
Recording
up-
the whole thing and then having GoPro delete it. That's my
Oh,
that's happened a bunch. We are getting the GoPro 13s. We're gonna get to test out, so we're gonna
we
see
should-
if that
yeah.
works out. But Paul picked up a DJI action cam that we're gonna try as well. So he's already used it for one outing,
good.
and then the DJI Mic 2s we both
So
have.
good.
They're insane. They're so
like
much
the
better than
wireless
Rode
ones.
mic.
I'll show
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the best mic I've ever seen in my entire life. It does everything I want it to, and it functions, which is great. That's what we're looking for. And it comes in this sick charging case. It's all in there. And then that thing hinges open. There's like a little button. Everything you need, including a plug-in for your phone. It's stupid. It's
Dude,
so stupid.
when I don't know if you've ever seen, when I go to like iCast or the Bassmaster Classic, whatever, and I do offsite stuff, I still bring a Zoom, like the recorder, and I have 2 wired like XLR microphones with like the newscaster thing around side that says Tackle Talk on it. They're old school wired microphones because I'm just such an audiophile. Like I hate bad audio, and so I would much rather lug around these annoying, cumbersome mic setups, and at least it sound good than I had like a, what are they called? Hollyland, I think, like the cheap wireless ones that are like on Amazon.
Oh,
and
I know exactly. The 20.
I listened to it the first time, wanted to like throw up. I was like, get this out of here.
We've done that.
I'm glad I don't know any better. Let's just put it that way.
Dude, we've been to iCast 3 times now, recorded like 10 videos every single time, and we still haven't figured that out. It gets a little like microscopically improved every single time we go. And next year we'll have better cameras, better mics, and we'll just see how it goes.
Dude, iCast is wild. I don't know how people like you guys that want to do the video stuff keep up, because you're up against people that are gonna beat you to it, and they're doing the same. Like it's tough. Like Tackle Warehouse is gonna get that stuff up in an hour. Like
we beat them.
Actually. We beat everybody.
We actually
on
beat
everything or some things.
No,
it's not possible on everything.
Yeah.
When it comes to kayaks, we'll be probably top 3. When it comes to the on the water day, our video is going to be the first one up. The first full length video. Some people post like 10-minute videos or 1-minute videos. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like
we do the full walkthrough.
A 30-minute YouTube video will be one of the first ones up, certainly for on the water day, because what we do is we pick the things that we want to be first on. We focus on those for day 1 and 2, and then those get edited that night. So we record them, we edit them that night, they go the next day.
In the hotel.
Yep.
And they go up.
I know that game.
Like new product showcase though is impossible to beat, because Tackle Warehouse gets them ahead of time. So I mean, you're getting all the Tackle Warehouse,
Bassmaster, like you know, Kyle. I don't expect all around. They got the photos and stuff up before we even get in the door.
But their content is so like 2007 magazine that I don't even care. Like the stuff that they put out is like, and it has 4.4 inches. And I'm like,
it's the descriptions from the company.
Yeah, I literally don't care.
It's straight up.
It's from they submit them.
Yeah. So you enjoy that content. That you can have that one all day. I'm talking about like anybody who's not employed by a brand. That's what I'm talking about. But I mean, we'll be one of the first, and then
if we can beat Kayak Angler Magazine, Chad Hoover, and a few of the kayak guys on kayaks, which we do usually every year, that's where I feel good. I'm like, okay,
this whole thing stresses me out. Like the arms race of trying to beat people to things stresses me out.
We don't think about that.
Like
I don't think about that.
Yeah, we do end up beating them sometimes.
I would stress.
Well,
instead, I'm just like, I went last week. My episode will be up Tuesday. Wait for it. There you go. It'll be 3 hours long, and it'll have everything you want in it. And I'll try and talk about different things than the other things you've heard 12 times already.
We do that too, because that's the other thing that we do that I think people don't do. So we will go to a lot of the booths that people don't want to go to. So like this isn't on purpose, but like everyone covers Berkeley. We don't even really go. Like everyone goes to the Pure booth. This was the first year we went to the Pure booth. Like we just don't cover that stuff because it gets so much play covered, and so we usually we go to different corners.
We want to show
you kind of cover the Shimano Daiwa, but really not at all. And like the 100, the new one was we wanted to cover that one.
The SV is nice.
It's super nice. The SV is sick. But
dude, like, did you guys see the Kage rods?
No,
I don't think we even got
the red-handled Kage rods. Look those up. Nasty from Daiwa. They're like and you'll appreciate this. They're only available at like small dealers. Like they're not available in Tackle Warehouse, and it's like a dealer special, and they're awesome. They're like $199 bright red reel seat, gorgeous rods, and they felt great. Look them up. They're awesome.
See, you're give me something cheap. My choices right now: $30 popper, $200 rod.
Oh man,
$22 popper.
Dude, what's sad? You know what's sad though is nowadays $199 is like middle of the road rod.
Jeff and I have talked about this year, and actually, this kind of is a good transition for some of the stuff that we kind of want to get your hot takes on. We won't keep you all night, I promise.
No, I got no bedtime. We're good.
Good for you. I do. But I will say, like, we talked about the $200 combo as like a thing that's kind of going away. And
there's only
it used to
4 options.
Yeah, it used to be $99 got you like the Silverado. It was like, hey, that's a pretty solid rod, not so bad. And now it's like 120 is like this, like sort of that same line has gone to 120. And getting a $200, unless, and we're not talking about sales, something like MSRP, just go buy what you buy. $200 is actually really hard. Like Jeff and I both went out, we kind of built like, what's the best $200 combo that you can build? And we actually had a really hard time with that. I feel like we came away with really good combos, but it's really, really difficult to do, even within plus or minus like $5 or $10. But like right in that neighborhood, hard. It's really hard. And like,
it's like an SLX combo is what it is.
Well, that's what,
like
I mean, you put a gun to my head. I think if I had to build a casting combo for $200 or under, I think I'm probably going SLX reel and the new Fenwick Eagle rods. Probably.
So I went Fenwick Eagle was the rod I picked, and I put an LFS on it because at the time it was retailing at $90, and I'm like, that's really hard to beat. Like, and it can do anything. That's the other thing. Depending on the speed you get, you could do anything with that lineup. Like, there's Topwater, jerkbait. You could do whatever you need to do with it.
Yep.
Jeff's combo is sick though. Jeff's combo is really, really hard to beat, and you'll be mad at this because it's Cast King, but just
I listen. I don't hate Cast King.
Yeah,
they've made. You want to talk about a brand that has stepped up their stuff in the past couple of years?
Oh yeah,
they've definitely improved. It's still a little all over the place. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. But
that is fact. They don't have a lane. Their lane is if the lane exists, they can be in it.
A perfect example. You walk around like an iCast and you look at their reels all on one table, and you're like, these reels look like they came from 12 different companies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
when you go from the mega jaws to the
just
eye reel and
throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. There's no coherent lines of anything.
No.
There's no features. When you look at a reel, you're like, that's a Cast King reel, because they have every different type of body type and, contour lines and everything. It just looks like a hodgepodge. But with that being said, if you sit through the hodgepodge, there's some decent reels in there now.
That Skeet Reese spinning reel, so it will be forever slept on. It bangs. It's so good.
It's an impressive $100 option, and then like the bait caster's 120, also like equally impressive. Then you get like the MG12, and you get the new Kestrel that they're coming out with for BFS, for the BFS folks. They're coming out with, looks decent, and then you get like some randoms. There's definitely a lot of affordable ones that I think people really like the Royal Legend 2, the Spartacus baitcasters, which are decent. We've used them. Definitely decent options as well. Getting you down $80 combos, $40 reels. Like
Jeff, your combo was the.
Mine was a PC fun though. It wasn't
Cast King. You're right. It wasn't Cast King. It was PC.
It's literally the only PC fun that I have.
Another one that I'm not on board, but that
whole brand, like
this is the only
pretty much everything. A lot of people talk about the Carbon X spinning. We had a terrible experience with it. So if it's changed a lot in the last couple of years, then we'll reconsider it. But
there's no way
I'm out. But the people kept talking about the Alloy M baitcaster, which is like base 60, but goes on sale all the time. You can get it for $40 to $50. It's pretty nuts. Like that thing packs a punch. You get the metal frame on it. It's not heavy. It holds up to a lot of stuff. And then I put it on a Daiwa Tatula XT rod, the $99 one. So
yeah,
99.
It's a good rod too.
Yep. It's a great rod. That rod's phenomenal.
That's such an inexpensive combo though.
$150, $160. Like
it doesn't weigh anything.
Super happy.
I challenge people. Like that's something I would challenge people to do, like as homework. Like go back and go build a shopping cart for $200, not with something on sale, just regular price.
That's why I feel bad sometimes. Like when people are like, "Oh, this rod's $220 or $200 or whatever," they're like, "That's expensive." It's like,
I hear.
Unfortunately, nowadays that's kind of everything's expensive. Like that's what you're gonna pay. Yeah, that's where it gets tough.
I would say this too. Like we definitely live in the
budget value,
in that value range. We're the target sort of like where we want to be with our gear. Where it's like the max I really spend on a bait caster is going to be like that
160,
190 to like 250
That's fair.
range.
That's
really good. You
fair.
get really good
There
stuff.
are awesome reels in that price range.
But like that's kind of where we live. And then on the rod side, 1 to 175, somewhere in there is usually where most of the rods that we are going to be using or testing, that's where they're going to fall. Because frankly, 80% of people, they may have one rod over 200 bucks. I'm just
we have like one rod over 200.
I don't have very many at all. Like
the
almost
NFX
none, so.
Psycho Stick from Akuma, which is 220, and then and the NFX is 295. The Yak rods I have is 295.
Oh yeah, that's
bougie. And then for BFS, that's bougie. But then there's one more. Oh, the Taction. No, that's 200, right? 199.
Taction's like 200. Yeah.
TFO Taction.
200 bucks. That's a banger. But yeah, we don't really go that far past that. And frankly, honestly, I would tell you right now, and I tell people all the time, we are aggressively average. I do not test super nice stuff all the time. So when I get something super nice, I'm like, yes, this is super, super nice. Yeah. I have no frame of reference. So my opinion is that this kicks ass. I don't know if it kicks more ass than something else, but like, yeah, I don't know.
That's why sometimes, like, I'll talk about it on the show. I'll be like, to feel like I can give you an accurate representation of where this rod or reel, fits on the spectrum, I have to have tried the whole spectrum. Like, I have to have had a $50 reel and a $500 reel. I've had to use an NRX and a cherry wood from Walmart and everything in between, right? You have to, because otherwise I have no frame of reference. Like you said, I don't know what is possible and where does this end up. Yeah. So I don't know. It's tough. It's definitely a fun game to play though. And that's why I love fishing gear. I love trying things out. I don't try as much gear as some people. Like you guys are a good example. It's like you guys have obviously tried a ton of gear. I'm the guy that instead I would rather, like, I think my lane, I guess, probably is more of like, here's what I've thought about this rod over a year or over 2 years. Like, I'm more long-term guy because I want to beat the tar out of this rod. And I want to tell you exactly where its break points were, where it was great, where it wasn't great. And so I know that hurts me a little bit in terms of I don't have as much like of a wide range of things that we've tried, but it's just more of like, hey man, I've put a ton of hours on this rod and here's what I think.
I think that's huge. And that's why I think it was 2 years ago, we started doing an end of year wrap up and we would review stuff we used for the entire season. And then a lot of that obviously gets carried over to the next season. And I mean, I feel like there's a ton of value in what you're putting out there because folks want to know if they're going to make that investment. To a lot of people, like $100 to $200 on a rod is like the only rod they're going to buy for a year. So they want to know, is it going to hold up for me? If it's a huge investment for them, then you're providing a lot of value by saying, hey,
well, I've got right over here in the corner, I've got 3 rods that I just bought that I'm going to do like a hardcore, couple month review on, and it's $99 and under. So I've got the $99 rods right over here. I've got an SLX, I've got a Eagle, I've got a Dobbins Maverick, I've got an Arc, I've got
which else? Arc? The Invoker?
Let me check and see. I think it's the Cobb. No, it's the Cobb. I think the camo.
Yeah, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Yep. I don't hate those grips. That's a preference thing. I don't hate.
Yeah, I'm a cork guy, so it's like
I respect that. I respect that. Same. I will tell you, my gripe with the Eagle rods and the SLX rods, the size of the blank. It depends on the rod. Spinning, especially casting, but the size of the blank has always bothered me.
It's a girthy rod.
Yeah. It's not as comfortable though. Like when you get the arc rods, they are slimmer. They're a lot slimmer, and their fast action feels 10 times better because they're slimmer. Like the Tournament Concept lineup, their extra fast heavy stick is still. My wife broke it on accident, and that still crushes me because and they don't make those anymore. That rod is unbelievably sensitive and super heavy duty, but like it feels like a medium heavy in your hand. There's something about that.
My only gripe with arc rods that I've had is that I've broken more arc rods than most other brands. Like Arc and 13, Snap City.
13, it's like, I've heard that on 13.
Yeah,
13 is
13.
I do love my own black, but
another company that's gotten better for sure. But it used to be like you could just bank on that 13 snapping in 4 or 5 months.
I must have got lucky because I had the thing I love about 13 is they like almost don't care about marketing. Like when they make their rods, They're
about to, because they are now under the Rapala umbrella, so
they will carry a lot
some money.
What they used to make, like
Yeah.
I found a 7.2 extra fast medium light that like no one was making it. This was like 5 years ago. Like no one was making that rod, and I was like, you could scour the internet and not find it, and they had like 3 different links you could choose from. I was like, wait, what? Why? And it's just because they were like, well, we like to make what we like to make. I don't really care if you like it or not. Here it is. Have a nice day. Like
All
the
right.
Pathfinder, like nobody asked for that, but hey, here it is.
Yeah.
Like enjoy it. Like I love that.
Wild lure. Real quick for Andrew here. We got in chat Josh Butler. He says, I'm the blonde 14-year-old from the Columbus Expo.
I know who Josh is.
Awesome. He wanted to know if you're going to try this Baku from Falcon.
Falcon Buku. Those are another rod that's slept on that should be talked about more than it is. It's just it's not the sexy pick. Falcon rods in general are like I don't know. It's like a brand that probably needs a revamp, needs some younger people to actually start using them. It's a little bit of an older guy's brand, it seems like, but a Falcon Buku rod's a great rod.
Yeah, it's funny. We've tried scouring the internet, as Paul was saying, for a bunch of different rod companies. Ended up picking that's where we stepped into trying Phoenix for the first time and different brands like that. I didn't see Falcon at the time, but it looks like a solid rod, $100 to $110, depending on which model you get. And they cover the spectrum from 6.6 to 7.9, medium mod. I think is their latest, up to heavy.
Yeah, they're like have a name I think the Buku's 99, right? Aren't they? They're like $100.
99. Yep.
Yeah.
99 to 110. Yep.
Yeah. Or I mean, there's a lot of companies like that. Like Powell is a good example too. Like Powell makes some great rods if you just dig into them. Now they have some that I don't prefer, but they have some good rods. Their Naked series is awesome. Yeah,
I like the name.
Check it out.
Real stripped down, like a black blank, matte black blank, cork handles, split grip. Like it's just a nice, solid, lightweight.
Yeah, Josh Butler said the Lizard Dragger is great. I love everything about these names.
Lizard Dragger.
I'm not mad at all.
It sounds like the name of like a monster truck when I was little or
100%.
something. Yeah. Here comes Grave Digger and the Lizard Dragger.
The Lizard Dragger.
Dude, that's so perfect. That's hilarious.
Because he jumps 14 school buses. I love it.
Well, jumps 12, crushes 2.
Yeah.
He almost made
it. Have some damage, yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. We got to do some more tackle talk as we're going through this podcast. People are looking for the juice here. So we wanted to ask you about, in terms of smallies and largies, top 2 fish species that you had on your website, at least, unless Muskie has leapt to the front. We don't know, but most folks here are fishing bass. We can assume. So for your smallies, what is like your go-to? I'm out to catch a giant. I want a 5 to 6 pound smallie. Yeah, smallmouth bass. What is your go-to option? I mean, you can say like it's late fall and I'm throwing this. So like season and lure, where you're throwing all that.
All right. So if it's right now, like late fall, like when it starts to get really good around here, it's probably going to be an Alabama rig or like a thick 6 1/4 inch like swim bait, like a glide bait.
Oh wow!
Big single jointed glide bait. I finally got into them like 2 years ago. Holy smokes! Like if now it's not going to be a numbers day, but if you're looking for bigs, like to draw fish out of that cover that they're sitting in, if they are that big, fat, sassy 20, 21 inch that's smart and knows not to go chase the neon Ned rig for the 10,000th time. Like there's just some drawing power about a single jointed glide bait that just goes right by that brush pile or something that gets them to come out and look at it or come out and eat it. And then this is the time of year where you can literally watch fish fight over certain things. So like an A rig is a great example because you can catch 2-3 fish at a time on an A rig. But it's just that big school of mini shad that you're looking for. Now, the cool part around here is like, depending on what part of the river or what lake you're on or whatever, our forage is drastically different sizes. So it's like there are certain parts of the river system or certain lakes where I know that the shad that I'm targeting, that I'm trying to like match that profile of like 2.75 to 3.25 maybe. And then there's certain lakes around here that got 7-inch shad that they're eating as well. So you get to kind of cover both spectrums. Those are going to be my 2 though. I'd say now the only thing about Ohio that's annoying is we're only allowed to have 3 hooks. So you have to have like
That
2
is BS.
dummies on your A rig. Like, just let me have all 5. But
Yeah,
Just
whatever.
go north a couple hours. We got 5 hook
Yeah.
policy here, so
Yeah.
do what you want. We got some crazy huge A rigs that we got into that last year when we did the Knucklehead series, tournament series, which is coming up very soon on Gunnersville. We're like, oh, we're going to Alabama. You got to throw an Alabama rig. So we bought like 10 Alabama rigs.
You know where my Alabama rigs come from? You appreciate this.
Where?
As 2 frugal gentlemen.
Yum.
Yes, we are frugal.
Even worse.
Say,
way worse.
No.
Think way worse.
worse.
Think the worst place you could buy tackle from.
Dick's Sporting Goods.
Temu.
Temu.
No.
Dude, I throw $2 Alabama rigs.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna, Paul lost an Alabama rig in Alabama.
I'm throwing in the river. I'm gonna lose some.
With all that tackle on there, that's $40, $50 on a nice rig.
I had a Temu Alabama rig. I'm still using the same one from last year. It's probably caught 50 fish. Yeah.
It is mostly
$2.
It's a thing Temu might not F up. So
it really is.
We tested like a ton of Temu stuff.
Oh, it's terrible. Awful.
So much. But the
I
internet
bought like a $9 bait caster off there. We did an episode like 2 years ago on it. It was there so
5% of it though. 5% of it actually was pretty good.
This one is the Mattel Masters.
Okay, that's not the one I had, but I don't think I have it around here. But it's pretty close. Yeah, it was like $8.
Yep.
I went out.
Dude, I was 12. We bought the premium.
Yeah,
we posted 6 videos on Temu, 3 unboxings, 3 on the water reviews, and man, did the internet hate them. Like, they got like a lot of views. We're like, oh, we did the YouTube thing, but like all the Temu fans came out. They were so mad at us for not
the Temu stands. There are Temu stands out there.
Oh, yeah,
all day long.
We got absolutely dragged because we were like trash.
So we just stopped doing it because
trash. Awesome,
yeah, just
trash.
Yeah, it was like 1 for 10 or something like that of the baits would be good. Like we found
I had a good popper that came off there for like 98 cents. Like it was fine.
Yeah.
I caught like 10 fish on it in one day, and I was like, okay, it works.
The
it's like the old
poppers are not awful. They're not as good.
I got some terrible ones. I'll tell you the worst thing I got. I ordered like some knockoff what are they, like dark sleepers, basically. And the tail doesn't move. Like it's a hard plastic. It's like
it doesn't get Ned rigged them.
How long did your paint last? Because mine lasted.
I didn't throw it long enough to get the paint off of it. I threw it for like 30
casts.
seconds and I just chucked it.
It was white.
We caught probably 20 fish on those because we just ended up Ned rigging them. They just like fell. This.
Oh, and then you
bad. They're terrible. They're so bad.
This looks like it came out of like a 25-cent machine at the skating rink. Like, what is this?
The size was comical.
Oh yeah, they're so small.
Like this big.
It's a lot. There's a lot of wild stuff. And
what is this?
The thing is, like, people, they'll get mad because they're like, look, I am not going to spend X amount of dollars on tackle. Like, I'm going to spend this much. And I'm like, look, if that's all you got and you just want to fish, it could be effective, but like my chatterbaits fell apart. The hooks were bending out on everything. If it hit the side of my boat, it exploded because it was the cheapest possible material. I can't see this as a good option. If you're going to have to buy 10 of them, you might as well buy the thing that is just going to work. What are we doing?
This is the thing that, like, a long time ago, I had a buddy that told me this, and he goes, it takes a rich man to buy cheap gear. Because I used to be the guy with like every rod I had was like a Berkeley shock rod from Walmart, and I snapped them every 3 weeks. And he's like, you know what you should probably do? Go buy $100 rod that has a warranty. You dumb.
That's what I'm saying.
Go do it. And so there's a little bit of that too. It's like I would rather have one regular chatterbait than 3 of those crappy ones from Temu or AliExpress or whatever. Yeah.
Buy one, cry, or buy once, cry once, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's our opinion on it. The internet, well, not all of the internet.
But there's a line, and some of that stuff actually did work out. Like some of that, like there were these little paddle tails.
That's what I was going to say. The Sun Miles.
They slapped so hard.
Yeah, little soft plastics. Like it's hard to mess up. It should be all right.
Exactly, and they were bangers. They
were stretchy
out of nowhere. Yeah, and they were stretchy. The fake
Italian.
Oh God, what's the Dorito smelling bait? The Frito.
Oh, G-Crack. Yeah. The bellows gill.
The bellows gill.
They had a faux bellows gill, and it was one of the stretchy ones. It was total knockoff, absolute BS. But I was like,
Frito smell.
It actually slapped though. It was awesome. I was like, dude, this thing is great. Like, I don't know. But that's the type of stuff that people have. What we try and make videos on mostly is just like if we feel like there's a question that hasn't been answered by a video, we usually try and make that. So like, and a good example of that, like a video I always wanted to make that no one had made was like, should I get a Hobie Pro Angler or should I get a PDL? And because at the time, those were the two big kayaks that were out and they were released within like 6 or 8 months of each other. And I was actually trying to make that decision, and that I was looking for that video and it didn't exist. And I was like, well, I guess we have to make it. And so, so Temu's a good example of that, because when it was out and hot and everyone was talking about it, people were like, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? I'm like, well, somebody wants to know. So like, I will find out.
Yeah. It's like, is it going to steal your identity? No. It will what you order show up? Yes. Is it as good as you think it's going to be? Probably not. But it'll show up. It'll be a real thing, and you can catch fish on it, I'm sure.
And I think there is kind of like a category that we kind of stumbled on just talking about it that does make sense. Like if you are truly like trying to fish on a budget, Senkos, little paddle tail plastics, like really basic tools I found were actually really good. Like you just
like pliers and stuff.
Pliers, like $5 versus 50. Like, man, I can't.
They'll do the job,
really. Yeah, like stuff like that. Like
or like bobber stops, snaps, things like you can get away with all that kind of stuff.
The hook holders that you like
put on your rod, fine.
That was awesome. But like, don't go buy a jerkbait. You're gonna be pissed.
If it takes like engineering, don't do it. If it just needs to accomplish a task and be a physical thing that can do that, okay.
100%.
Yeah, that's fine.
The Temu hole was deep and it was crazy.
And we climbed out of it rapidly and will not go back into it again.
Alabama rigs. Get your Alabama rigs on
I may have to do that.
Now we know. I will do that. I got an Amazon.
I'll see your Rico popper and your fancy rods, and I will buy
the Alabama rig for Team.
Oh, I'm at everything, man. I got a bougie setups. I got $99 setups. I buy my stuff on Temu. I buy my stuff on ALF, Tackle Warehouse, wherever. Right, like
sounds familiar. Yeah, that's something we do too. I love it.
That's the fun part. It's like if you're sponsored by Berkeley or whatever, and you can only throw Berkeley stuff. That's lame. Like, I want to throw everything. I want to try everything. I want to use everything. That's a fun part about fishing. And so many people sell themselves short because they want to put something in their Instagram bio or get some 10% discount or something. I'll stay off my soapbox. Yeah.
No, that's a good soapbox, because we felt the same way. That's why we dropped all our sponsors. Like we felt so backed into a corner that we couldn't try all the things. And people would ask us, they'd be like, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that?" I'd be like, "I don't know. Can't use it. Not allowed." So now
it's so antithetical to what you actually want to do. It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It's not
what
fun.
People
it gets
that's
to be
the
not
weird
fun.
thing, and that's where we were getting into fights, because people would be like they want to use your platform, which I respect. That we're all in a game, right? We're they're trying to get their name out there, so I respect that. And they're trying to use our platform to do it, which is that's fine. There's nothing wrong with them asking. But then they would be like, "Well, make this commercial and then never use my competition." I'm like, "How do you think we got the platform? How do you think we got here? Do you think it's because I only used one brand? I used 13 fishing? No, that's not how we got. I didn't get here making actual commercials. So like, all you're gonna do is tear down what you're trying to use. Like, this is stupid. Like, let me do it my way. I will be respectful, but like, let me do it my way. Just send me the rod." And this is why TFO is one of the few people that I'm like, we're kind of closer-ish to, because if they make a rod and they send it to us, they don't care. They don't care. They're just, because they really believe in what they're making. They're like, I make for $120. You can't beat me. They believe that to the core. And I'm like, respect, dude. So much respect, because that, like, they're down. And I respect that. I don't respect the rest of it, where they're like, never use my competition. I don't want anyone to know they exist. I'm like, well, they do. Bro.
Yeah, we got yelled at a few times, and that's when we're like, let's pull the ripcord, bust out of here. How about that?
Now the most fun thing in the world is telling people that are not used to being told no.
Hey, so we're gonna send you this, and this, and then you're gonna say these things. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like, hey, can we sponsor?
That's weird.
People approach you, and it's like, sorry, I don't do that. And like, what do you mean? We're so and so. Like, people don't tell us no. It's like, sorry, it's just not what we do.
And it's not like, I don't get like a lot of joy out of it. I get joy out.
I like it.
I get joy out of people that are just like floored. Like Jeff said it earlier, when we'll be like, oh yeah, we don't take sponsorship money. So you can keep the commish. Like, we're good.
They're like,
and they're like,
okay,
I'm gonna send you a check. I'm like, you're not. I appreciate it, but no, thank you. And people, the silence afterwards, that like 5 seconds of just like they're like, "What?
What do we do now?"
Like, that was great. Good talk. Have a nice day. Like that's what I get.
We go on faith.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dude. Yeah, it's just not worth taking the cash. That's what it comes down to.
No,
all right. So we said smallie bait a long time ago before we went off the rails. You guys remember that when we were talking about smallmouth bass?
No, it's great.
This is what the show's all about. What are you talking about? So let's talk largemouth. Is it the same? Is it different? What's your favorite go-to big largie catcher?
I mean, chatterbait's up there for sure. Just any chatterbait. See, what's weird is like when I fish for largemouth, like I'm more likely to flip or throw big jigs or things like that, obviously. So like for largemouth, I am one of those dudes that loves a giant heavy football jig. Like just what I call bulldozing. Like I just want to go out on some offshore point, sit there in my kayak, look like an idiot in the middle of the lake that doesn't know what he's doing, and just wallop fish because these people have no idea what's going on. Where I'm just out there, not even, I'll know where the point is. I'm not using electronics or forward facing, whatever. You're just casting, counting rocks. Bam.
Yeah.
Like it's the most fun thing in the world just to dredge with a like 1 ounce football jig.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love
that.
That you said use the word antithetical. I will do it as well. That's so antithetical to like my brain too. Like, because that's not
the larges.
I'm
like up shallow.
No one was like, "Hey, you can do that." Like, it's like it's
hard. The looks you get are awesome because you're just a dude in a kayak and the bass boats are going by or whatever. And the bass boats that know, like the people that are good anglers know what you're doing and they understand. But the people that are just the weekend warriors that don't get it, they're like, "What's this kid doing out in the middle of this giant public state park lake?" Like seemingly with nothing around. It's like, I'm out here catching a 20-pound bag, dude. They're out here. They're on this rock point that you don't even know is here, or this rock pile or hump or whatever.
Yeah, that was the like what was that, 2 months ago, Paul? We were out in the middle of that lake and those guys were learning to wakeboard around us. We sat in the middle of this lake. Out of the whole gigantic thing, there was like 2 pontoons running kids and 1 old guy on wakeboards trying to learn it for the first time. They just kept falling and just ripping and falling and ripping and falling, and we're just sitting there like, all right, what the hell are we doing here?
Don't kill me, please.
So we had to do it. There was a spot, but I mean, all right.
That's probably mine.
I love it. All right, so we got some good options. You guys want to go catch some big smallies, big largies? Maybe try those methods out if you haven't done that before.
I'll say though, did you notice how different those answers were? Because like people who don't have smallmouth, they don't think about it that way. I don't. When I go to a place where I know there's smallmouth, it is a totally different set of baits than if I go to a place where I'm like, yeah, it's going to be mostly largemouth fishing.
The thing about smallmouth that people, I wish more people would understand is that if they like, as long as it's got trebles, there's nothing too big. Like smallmouth will try and annihilate something 3 times their size. So yes, you can't go out there and throw some, 7/0 EWG hook or something like that because they're not going to get it in there. Frogging for smallmouth sucks. Like they're not getting the frog physically in their mouth. But if it's got trebles on it, a big glide bait's a great example. It could be the same size as that fish. It's going to go up and take a swipe at it. An A-rig, it's got multiple hooks. You're okay. Big jerk baits, stuff like that. Like as long as it's able to be swiped at, big topwaters, like a big crawler or something, like the what's the mega bass one, the I-wing or whatever it's called, or
the chase baits,
like all those type of things, right? It's like they will come up and try and eat it. Like it, as long as it's got trebles and can be swiped at, you're good. So you can throw giant baits for smallmouth just as long as it's not some big single hooked, or like the back hooked big mag draft knockoffs they have now, or like whatever. Like you can't really throw that, but you can throw a mag draft because it's got a treble under it.
And you'll get bumped, but you won't catch a fish.
So you can throw giant baits for smallmouth. It's so much fun.
No, it's not like the way that my brain processes it most of the time. It's just like, oh, Ned rig, done. Absolutely. You're out on
and don't get me wrong, Ned rig works. It's great. But
it's Great Lakes Finesse, right?
Like
I talked to Great Lakes, and the dude catches giant smallmouth. But if you're fishing like the St. Lawrence, if you're fishing St. Clair, like he's throwing those little baits that he offers from Great Lakes Finesse.
But he's open water most times and deeper electronics and deep water. It's
there's a big difference there. Finesse, where I'm in some dirty 5-foot deep fast river in the middle of
Mhm.
urban Dayton that's full of trash and stuff. It's like those fish are way different than
Mhm.
you're up there fishing giant Clear Lake, big smallmouth. So yeah, there's points to be made there too, that you have to fish the water that you're around.
They get put in a bucket though. People
Yeah.
think about smallmouth, they associate it with the Ned rig, for example.
Yeah.
Like that's just like commonplace. But then exactly. You got to think about where you're fishing. And if you're going to target that bigger fish, or if you're just going to catch 900 dinks in the day, like you got to fish differently. And that's it's numbers versus size that comes up a lot, regardless of where you fish.
Well, and the types of smallmouth fishing that I grew up doing and still love to do is like get in some tiny little creek and just walk.
Yep.
And there's nothing more fun than taking, you want to talk about budget stuff, man? You take like a little ball head jig and rip a yum dinger in half, thread it on there, and go catch 50 smallmouth a day in some tiny little creeks. Like that is
this whole combo is like $100.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's all you need. For a little stream, dude, then you won't
Yep.
have any more fun. If you have an old pair of tennis shoes, you have everything you need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Just a wet weight is so much fun.
Wet wading is great.
It's
like
it is
swimming, because you can go all day long. You're cool. You're in the water.
Sometimes you do swim.
Well,
we have video.
We've had that too.
My God, dude.
We had our what was the pack that we have, the fish pond
Thunderhead
submersible Thunderhead bag. So it'll hold basically an air pocket. We floated on them. We just hugged it.
Oh my God.
And we were just like kicking. We're like, I think we should move to a different spot. So we pulled out.
That's kind of what my bag that I use everywhere I go is like. It's just one of those roll up dry bags. It's off
like
Amazon. They're called Marchway. They're like $18, but it's like canvas backed, and that's what I use for everything. Whether I'm in the kayak, I'm wading, whatever. That's my tackle bag.
I did that for forever. Actually, I did that for a long time. I really. It's
only pain in the tail. You need something out of it. Dump the whole thing out.
That's what gets me, man. That's what gets me
around.
But yeah, when it comes to only needing one thing, and actually it's super nice, and then you just end up bringing not as much, which I personally am a big fan of.
Or you do what I do. I'm just a giant redneck, so I take like an empty Z-Man pack or something, like a soft plastic pack, and I just put 3 or 4 baits in there that I'm gonna use all day long and shove it in my pocket, and that's my speed bag. Yeah,
bro. The Z-Man, the Finesse TRD, like if you got a pack of 8. You're gonna catch 100 smallmouth on that.
Yeah. But I'll put like in that same bag, I'll put like a square bill, a popper or something in there. I'll just put it in my pocket. Like that's what I'm gonna use today.
So you get a treble through your.
I respect that. The fanny pack is the play that people forget about.
Yeah,
you look silly, but it's what you need.
That's slept on.
Yeah. I didn't think about it till we fish with fish anything.
Because then you can go over the shoulder when the water gets deep. You put it over the shoulder. The fanny pack is slept on.
It is. All right. So let's do some fun, like slow rolling thunder questions. We'll roll on out of here for the night. Real quick, I did have one big question I didn't ask during the show. Before we get to that, this is about your podcast and where, you've done 260 episodes. Like, where do you want to go with the podcast? What's like the next 3 to 5 year plan with this thing? What's it look like?
Oh, your guess is as good as mine, man. I don't like it. Started as something I didn't think it was actually going to be anything. Like I started this way back when the only fishing podcasts out were like BTL was out, because BTL been around for like 20 years. And then Ike Live, where he was just like drinking with his buddies and hanging out and talking a little bit of fishing. Like that was the only things that were out. And so back then when I was spending time in the truck and stuff, it bugged me that there was no like structured fishing show with tips and stuff. And I was like, dude, I can probably put something together worth listening to, maybe. And so we did it. But now it takes on a life of its own. And there's, tens of thousands of people that wait for that thing every Tuesday. So it's like, you can't quit. It's its own thing now. It has a life of its own and it's going, and that's awesome. I don't have like a goal, I guess. I don't know. Like it's not my full-time job. I do it in the wee hours of the morning after working 16 hours a day. Like I come home and work on the show. It's what I do. So I don't know. It's just, I want to keep doing it as long as it's beneficial. Like I am one of those people that I think like if I wake up one day and I don't have the, drive to do it anymore, or I'm struggling for things to talk about and I feel like it's just run its course, then I'm not going to run it into the ground for 10 more years. Like it'll just be over at that point, I guess. But I'm nowhere near that. I think I've still got a lot of things I want to talk about, a lot of people I want to talk to. I just hope it stays something that people enjoy listening to. And as long as that happens, it'll keep going. I don't have any like crazy goals or anything for it. I just enjoy doing it.
I love it. It's the simple answer and it's effective. I like it a lot. I also like that you said can't quit because we think about that a lot.
You can't, dude. It's a monster. It's a machine. It's
doing its own thing now. Like you have no control over this.
No, it's because a great example is like one time my Spotify thing got hacked and like someone took over my Spotify feed and there was no episode Tuesday morning and my phone, I think about overheated and exploded. I was like, people were like, what is going on? I woke up this morning. For the past 4 years, I've had an episode every single Tuesday. I woke up, where's it at? And you're like, oh God, like this is a little glimpse into what would happen. Like if it's just not there one day. So no, you feed the beast. It's got to keep going.
Love it. That's awesome. Better than not uploading to Spotify for 3 months. Am I right, Paul? All right.
You got YouTube. Listen,
that's exactly why.
YouTube is so much better than audio platform stuff. Like I wish I was smart enough to have done YouTube because I mean, it's cleaner, it's smarter, it's easier, it's way to go. Like
we got lucky.
Managing Apple and Spotify and iHeart, Amazon, Pandora, like all these things. It's
we do that too.
Pain in the tail. But then I was the dumb that never started a YouTube video, so my whole audience is on MP3 only. Like nobody watches or listens on YouTube because it's part of their routine now that like they listen to Tackle Talk when they're on the way to work or working out or whatever because they know there's no video to it. So they've programmed that into their daily So but now you can't undo it. It's going to live on Apple and Spotify and iHeart.
Awesome. Where it's going to be. That. And I've had podcasts like that. I was actually going to mention like a podcast that's similar to yours that I listen to is like Wired to Fish. I listen to Wired to Fish for like or Wired to Hunt. I listen to that.
Yeah. Wired to Hunt. Yep.
Yeah. Just amazing podcast. And like that whole series is really good. But it's kind of like it's right in the same lane as yours, right? Where there's certainly a science element. The audio is really good. And then they it's a nice mix of like fun science and then gear stuff too. So when you've got that in there where you're like this is just what I do. It's an automatic download. I don't even think about it. That box is checked and it's waiting for me right there. Yeah, I rely on that back in the day. 100%.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So a couple fun questions. We're rolling out of here with it. Curious from your show. Paul, you wrote this. You made it from his podcast.
No, I mean like in general. So like what?
Oh, in general. Okay.
Yeah. So like my question was going to be like, what is your surprising or most controversial take? I already know about the pike, so we don't need to hear about that again.
Yeah.
But like after
all of them
that,
dead.
What would be? What do you think is a take? And I'm kind of thinking of it like in this year because this year we had a lot of stuff. Like there was the Ford
something new
sonar. There was
okay.
There was certainly like some people having takes over baits that are being stolen or copied, that sort of thing. So there's some big topics around. But like, what is a take that you? I think this could be anything. But what's a take that you have that like when you say it? Most people are like, oh my God. Like half the people are going to be pissed and half the people are going to be like, all right, yeah, get up, buddy.
I've died on this hill and this is my stance on it. And it does not change because of who I am and how we've kind of structured everything. I don't care about knockoffs at all. Bring on the knockoffs. I am a consumer. I want the best product at the cheapest price, most readily available. I don't care. Right. I understand there's like a bigger picture. And if you made this bait and someone else stole, big bully basically came in and was like, I'm bigger than you. I can make this and there's nothing you can do about it. Tough. Like that's how business works. Like every product in the world has been knocked off. Go down the aisle of Walmart and look at the different, versions of Cheerios that they've made. There's the Walmart O's and the Kroger, like this is not a fishing phenomenon. I'm gonna get worked up over this.
Go.
This happens with everything. Everything gets knocked off. If you have something that is proprietary, patent it and protect it. If you don't, you can't really complain about it. You didn't invent the jig. You didn't invent the minnow profile or the craw profile. Or if you have something that is protectable with a utility patent or whatever, do it. But other than that, sour grapes, I don't care. Like, give me a great example. 2 years ago when that Nessie came out or whatever, I was never going to pay $60 or whatever for a flag.
To hopefully get a flag.
And let's be honest, 99.9% of people didn't know the flag existed before the Nessie.
That's fair.
Like everyone pretended like they were just JDM experts all of a sudden, and we're like, how? I love grow design works. Like, you never even heard of grow design works until 10 minutes ago. What are you talking about? But now there are those swim baits that are on my shelf for $7. I'm pumped about that. I don't care. So I understand if I was a bait maker, I'd be salty about someone taking my idea or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like I don't know. As a consumer, I want more options, cheaper options, better options. That's how you get them. Stop complaining about it. That's my big take. And it's like half the people are like, yeah, man. The other half's like, how could you? They put hard work into those baits. And so I see both sides of it. But as a dude that just wants to go out fish, like this is why we're just regular guys. I'm not a pro. We don't get paid by these people to say certain things. As a realist, I'm here for knockoffs. Bring them on.
Yeah, I respect that. That's you're hard of one side of my brain, because half my brain, in a lot of instances, I'm with you. Like the final copy, I'm like, all right, well, it's been done. Go nuts, bro. Like have at it.
But it's like $7 to $10 now to get a.
and then I would say I was way on the other side, and then I kind of came back to center, and now I probably live in the center where it's like case by case. Where some baits, I'm like, that's effing B freaking S, because I get pissed when I'm like, that dude just like could have been the next biggest thing, was on his way to be the next biggest thing, and then somebody who just had a bunch of money decided to like take that thing from him.
Especially smaller
sense of justice gets riled up, and I'm like, I want to fight for sure. But then the other side of it, I 100% see it, and I get this like Z-Man was kind of the one that turned it for me, where I saw some of the stuff that was coming out. I was like, dude, that is like, I don't know if I like that. And then we started learning more about it, and I'm like, okay, I see how this is like, not only is it materially different, but the price point, it's hard to argue with, and it is different. And so that actually brought me more to be like, yeah, you know what, I totally get that. Like we didn't need to get riled up about that one. So I'm sometimes in your camp and sometimes in the other camp. I kind of go,
which is fine.
Like case by case. No,
I respect it. Again, I understand. I have buddies that have bait companies that have been blue in the face with me on this, where we're not going to see eye to eye, because we have different perspectives on this. You have a vested interest in protecting the product, and I get that. I have a vested interest as a dude that just wants to spend less money and catch more fish. I'm on the other side. It's totally fine. I get it. But that's the big one for me. You mentioned like the Z-Man Gobius. So like, the Gobius comes out or whatever, and you're like, which is ironic because, and again, I can say this because I don't care. It's like Z-Man is notorious for bullying everybody that tries to even come close to something that they've done. Like there's so much of that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. It's like they are one of the biggest bullies, and yet they go out and start taking stuff too. 100%. Everybody does it,
and they crush it on it. So you do what you gotta do. All right,
they do. And then when it comes to their patent, they're ready to kick the door. They're ready to kick the doors.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the chatterbait, you can't. There's no way. But that's a great example too. All right, so this is the last question. We're gonna roll out on this one. You mentioned back when we were talking about what a snack is, because we had to redefine it, because blue Powerade to me, not snack, to you, snack. But then you're like, all right, but I roll off the water, I'm gonna hit that gas station, that Wendy's, that McDonald's, and eat like a fool. What is like your guilty, and this is how Paul wrote it, your guilty gas station glizzy? What is your like guilty? You roll into that gas station, you're like, all right, I'm gonna take 3 of these. And
we all have one. If you say nothing, I know you're lying. Okay.
No. I'm trying to pick between like 30 of them.
Thank you. Okay, good.
I know mine.
Okay. I'm a sucker for just crappy gas station pizza that's been in that little rotation warmer thing forever.
And it's longer the better.
Yep. I'm
the more bacteria, the more protein.
We're like, it's not gonna flop on me. It's just solid piece. Like you pick it up and you're like, this is great. I love food like that. I love just like crappy cafeteria style food, just because it's what you grew up eating.
Bro, so taco pizza in high school. Like,
I want the worst nacho cheese that you have.
Yep.
I would like a hexagonal shaped pizza.
Yeah.
Because why? How did you print these?
So gas station pizza, I'm a sucker for. I mean, I'll eat anything off the roller grill. I don't care. I'm a disgusting animal. Like I will eat anything.
You're ravenous because you only ate
exactly
Powerades for 12 hours.
You just seeing red and you're like, I'm gonna tear apart anything that's edible in this place.
At least you're not dehydrated.
No.
There's that. That's where you're right, bro, Chacho.
What else? Oh, like if anybody's around Ohio, we have speedways around here all over the place. That's like our gas station. They have these like they look like a Rice Krispie treat, except they're made out of Fruity Pebbles.
Oh yeah, dude. They're cereal bars. Yeah.
Max. They're so good.
They are good.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, dude. I'll eat anything.
I like that. I gotta go CT Crunch on the cereal bar, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal bar.
Oh yeah. Or the s'mores ones. You know what I'm talking about? Like the s'more ones are great.
I love it. All good stuff.
If I'm splurging, dude, I'm going for something like totally outside of my normal food. So like I'll get like the Buddies
the Muddy Buddies.
Buddies. Oh my
Chex
God.
Mix has
dude. I'm like a 6-year-old that just got a ring pop. I'm pumped out of
you get a whole bag of like Sour Patch Kids.
Literally, I'm getting
Sour Patch
watermelon Sour Patch Kids.
Yes,
I'm getting a Monster guaranteed. Some giant energy drink that my body does not want or need. I'm getting that, and then I'm 100%, 1000%. I'm getting a roller hot dog, and I'm putting cheese and onions and mustard on it, and it's gonna be nasty, and I'm gonna love every single bite. I'm gonna savor that, and I'll live off that till the next time I go to a gas station.
We did that on our gas station reviews for a minute. we were eating everything at the gas station.
I've had everything at the Speedway. I have everything at my local Speedway.
Yeah,
it's great.
My body.
I'm a sucker for the breakfast sandwiches in the morning. Like you go and just grab some gross breakfast sandwich from a gas station. You're like,
4% meat.
Yeah,
those are fantastic. I'm also always grabbing like a trail mix of some sort, but I'll grab the Cars sweet and spicy mix most of the time, or the Cajun mix, sweet and spicy or Cajun. Both are
Cheetos jalapeno.
Cheetos jalapeno is good.
Always on the menu.
Barbecue Fritos, the like spirally ones.
Ooh.
I like the
honey barbecue ones.
That's what I meant. Yeah, those
twists.
Baby. You eat the whole thing in 10 seconds.
I'm not going to eat
so
that
addicting.
bag. What do you think this is?
I've been eating those for 25 years. They've been out. Thanks, Frito-Lay. And then if you want to go bougie, like if you go to a nice gas station, you go to like a Buc-ee's, right? You go to a nice spot. Cheese curds. Of like 3 flavors of cheese curds and like a pack of fresh like actual meat sticks. Ooh. That's the splurge. That's the splurge.
That's like when you're on the long road trip and you're like, nah, we're sophisticated.
Yeah.
We're Zaxby's. Give me those chicken fingers. Let's go. We ate like 10 pounds of Zaxby's chicken fingers.
Zaxby's. We bought the 30 rack and Jeff and I split it and we ate it in like 10 minutes. It was so bad.
Yeah.
If I have to go through fast food, it's usually probably Wendy's. Like I'm just a Wendy's dude. They're like, you pull up to the thing and they're like, would you like to try our Asiago chicken? Like, biggie bag, please. And I've got a frosty key tag. Give me that frosty.
Pack it up. You know my order.
Your local high school football 4% off, and you make them scan it for the nickel they're gonna give you.
Yeah,
I'm supporting the local high school football team. All right, 4%. There's so much in savings in this coupon box.
If you use it every day,
kid. If you use it every day until the end of time, you'll get your pennies back. All right. Thanks, buddy. Just take $20 and go away. Thank you. All right. Bye. All right, you guys. That's all we got for tonight. It's been a blast hanging out with Andrew here. Go check out Tackle Talk podcast. And make sure that you are you're subscribing, getting the download every single week. And then you do post like the audio to YouTube, right? So you're on all the socials. Yeah. Make sure you guys are following Tackle Talk all over the place. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man. I think we had some hot takes. We talked about a lot of things. We had some technique talk. I think we covered the spectrum, right?
Yeah, that was fun. Fair. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Absolutely. Anytime. And thank you, chat, for hanging out with us tonight. You guys have been a blast. As always, we'll be back again next Wednesday with another podcast. And again, stay tuned if you want to check out potentially winning an opportunity to win an inflatable kayak. Join the membership. Check out what that is below. We appreciate you. Thanks so much. Chaz, take us out.